Pants on the ground, looking like a fool with your pants on. Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, and we chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling the Stormlight Archive, Words of Radiance, chapters 39 through 43. So now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe! Thank you, Joe. Yep, everyone. Once again, you heard it here, folks. First time you heard it. This is Cosmere Chronicles. I'm Joe. I'm your host, and I'm joined by Sheta and Justin.
Wait, this is Cosmere Chronicles?
Wow, it's the first I ever heard of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What'd you think it was?
I thought this was like a deposition.
Aha! We tricked you, Justin. It's time for your
shit.
deposition.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's why I've been pleading the fifth so often. I didn't know that this was just a casual hangout between friends talking about a book. That's really going to change things.
Yep. All right. So, yeah. Yep. This is Cosmere Chronicles. And before we talk about Cosmere, let's talk about other random stupid shit we don't want. Yeah. So, random question for the week. You know what? Here's one. What's like a movie that you are glad you saw in like the movie theater? Like one where it's like, you know what? Like that was a movie that's just a good movie theater experience that people, if they had the chance, they should have seen it in the theater instead of waiting to see it at home.
Transformers, the movie?
What?
What? You're not saying the Michael Bay one, are you?
No, the cartoon movie.
You mean back in the 80s when you first saw it, Sheta? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I thought this was if you could have, it would have been a better theater experience.
Oh, no. The question was, what was one you saw that you were glad you saw in theaters?
Yes, I
Not
just
one
aged
you wish
myself.
You could have seen in theaters.
Yes, I was a lass of 10 when I watched that movie.
Sheta was 30 in 1985.
Yes, I'm almost 80.
No, at first I thought you were like, yeah, the Bayformers. That was a religious experience for me.
No.
I remember seeing that with Justin going there and halfway through the movie just being like, this isn't fun anymore.
No, it was not.
Pretty much, I was kind of enjoying it until John Turturro's character showed up.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Pacific Rim then.
Yeah.
I did not know what to expect going in, but it was really great to see it. It was a good theater experience.
Yeah,
but actually, that was really good too. I'm gonna go with Avatar. I'm sorry, that is a theater experience. But they're kind of tied. They're for different reasons. So
they're tied. I'm surprised you don't just go all in on Avatar because it was 3D and all that shit.
Yeah, it's almost like cheating though because it's such a different experience. But okay, I'll just stick with Avatar with a big endorsement for Pacific Rim.
Mine is going to be it's just such a tough choice. There's so many, but I'm going to go with The Dark Knight because I don't know how other theaters were, but it was, you don't get this sense of like nerd community and superhero things anymore because everyone goes and sees them. So you have some like bunch of people who don't give a fuck about it talking in the theater and like you just don't get that anymore. But with that movie for the midnight showing, the theater was so packed, they were just putting people in the aisles and everything, which I think is against fire code hazards. But even though that theater was so fucking stuffed, everyone was so fucking silent during the the whole Joker chase with Batman when things got quiet in that movie. It was just deathly silent. Like everyone was so invested in that movie and you could just feel that everyone was there for the same reason, which is something I don't think we'll ever get again out of a movie. So I think that's one I'll do in that specific time. And then I am going to go an honorable mention, which we all three saw together for Avengers 1 with the all day thing. But just because of the same thing of that was right at the end of it only being people who were like not regular people going to see it. So everyone there was like crazy excited, Ever since it's just regular folks in those theaters, and I don't like regular folks as much.
Yeah, because when we went to go see Avengers, we saw the movie theater. They were doing an all-day Avengers movie marathon. So we paid for it all. So they started like Iron Man at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So when Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, then right at midnight, Avengers. You had little breaks in between each movie, so we had time to like run to like Subway or stuff. And they have trivia contests, and I won the overall Avengers trivia game.
Yeah.
You have for me, I think my favorite. I think one thing that I felt was a great movie experience: Grindhouse.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I might change to that one actually.
Because that's one where nowadays you can't even get that experience anymore because now the two movies are mostly sold separately. You don't really get the Grindhouse experience. I think they did like one release of them together.
Mm-hmm.
But just like going to the movie theater, first seeing the fake trailer for Machete, and then watching Planet Terror, that being done, getting like the next batch of like fake trailers in between, and then watching a whole nother movie after that.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
You don't really get the double features like you do. That was just a real fun experience. Just going there and just seeing a whole two movies with all sorts of like these fake trailers and stuff. The
trailers are so funny. Yeah.
the fake like with Planet Terror, the fake like burned reel with Death Proof, the fake reel that got stolen. It's
yeah, those are great.
Yeah, that was really fun. Good times.
Yep. So yeah, those are some fun movie theater experiences that sadly some of them you will not be able to experience again.
Mm-hmm. But don't worry, for Sheta's you'll get 10 more avatars.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I thought his plan was only like 2 more. I thought his plan was always to have like 5.
He's changed it many, many times. When they're more profitable, he says he's going to make 100. When they're like, still insanely profitable, but it looks like they may lose profitability, he's like, I think I have the story set already and ready to end.
Granted, one that I was pissed about was Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, because I'd wanted that for like so long. Finally does a release. Has to do in December, the one time a year that I cannot go see it. And then afterwards, he's like, I don't think I'm going to release this on DVD. Maybe only movie theaters. Screw you, Quentin Tarantino. Put it on Netflix so I can watch it. or release it in theater in like fucking May, not middle of December. All right. Yep. So there's that. So next we have we're going to have to go over what happened. We're going back to Cosmere, going back towards Radiance. First with what happened on last week's episode, last week's chapters. Shit, who was it this time?
Sheta.
It's Justin.
No, it is Sheta though.
No, it's not. You're lying.
All right, I will flip a coin. Heads, it will be Sheta.
What?
Tails, it will be Justin.
Okay, I'm not going to be a dick. It is me. It's not Sheta.
Okay. Well, it landed on heads. Yeah, so Justin, go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll just start where I remember. Shallan has arrived at the camp. She met Kaladin. They got in a whole little fight. Kaladin got to see Gaz, which led to some hilarious fun together. She was listening to a meeting with all the High Lords. They asked about her. She used it as an opportunity to weasel her way into Selazizzle something, the one guy's camp. Even though Dalinar had offered hers, because Sabariel. She wanted more freedom to research. She met Adolin, thought he was very hot. Kaladin had aftermath from the battle, I believe. Or did he have the battle? Is that these chapters or the ones before?
What about a battle?
Did he fight the guy in white in these chapters or the ones before that? I'm all mixed up.
Kaladin didn't have any chapters.
Kaladin had no chapters. Well, that's why I don't remember what he did. So there's my I think just Navani and Adolin kind of walked around and talked about stuff. That's what I remember. Am I missing something?
Yeah, he was like,
interludes.
"Are you trying to bang my dad?" And she goes, yeah,
interludes were last time? Okay, that's why I don't remember anything. Well, interludes, we saw Shell Girl return back from the storm all fucked up and evil, wanting to like attack and conquer the world, and everyone was like, sweet, that sounds fun. And
the other two were Zahel and Talm.
Oh, that's what I remembered of the Kaladin ones. Kaladin showed up at Zahil's room and asked for training. Who is Tom?
Tom is
Tom's
a
the
crazy guy.
herald.
Oh, yeah, he rambled nonsense. Yes, see, this is why I don't remember them. They didn't do that much, even though it is set up for some really big, exciting things. Yes, he rambled a bunch of nonsense, and the king talked about his boy crush on Wit.
I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one with a crush on Wit.
Who's shipping boy crushers?
I didn't say a ship. I didn't say anything like that.
They took his
All right.
shard blade too, and he's gonna give it to. He knows just who to give it to.
That's true. That did happen.
He did not say that. He said he has an idea about what to do with it.
He says, "I know just what to do with this," and then he tapped his nose knowingly.
Yep.
That's
All
how I
right.
remember it.
What is he, Santa Claus?
He certainly feels like Santa. He has Santa vibes. sure.
That's not true.
He's so nice. You know what? Freedom for everyone. You're not a slave.
I'm
You're
done.
not a
I'm done.
slave.
I'm not engaging with this nonsense.
If you're saying he's like Santa, it's like the Goldberg level of Santa. It's talking about the movie Santa Slay starring Goldberg.
I don't know that.
It was a not very well-known movie from the mid-2000s. But yeah. So this week we went forward in the story by reading chapters 39 through 43. So, as per usual, I'll ask you two, what'd you think about these chapters this week?
I liked them. I remember really enjoying them.
No, they were very interesting. We got to see some follow-up on the series stuff because, you never know if they're going to have a character have kind of a badass turn and then just completely forget about it. We got to follow that up. Like, pretty much that was the focus of these chapters. And I like that we finally got to get a sense of where Kaladin is at, since apparently I didn't see him last time. Like, since the big fucked up shit that's happened.
Hmm.
Otherwise, they weren't particularly exciting chapters because there wasn't, especially compared to the crazy shit that's just happened. This really feels like kind of the beginning of the next part, and it's got me to the point where I am somewhat curious about what they're setting up, where before I just thought I could see the whole book ahead of time. So that's fun.
But yeah, now let's just go into our chapters this week. Starting off with chapter 39, Heterochromatic. 4 years ago. All right, Shallan's father was hosting a feast at his estate. He does this from time to time in order to try to impress other Bright Lords. Today, he is hosting Bright Lord Tanavar along with his wife and daughter, because he wanted to show off his wealth that he didn't actually have. And Shallan, she knows how bad their finances are because she has begun helping the accounts. And this chapter 2, it's also the first one we finally learn their father's name. His name's Lyn.
I will not be remembering that. I didn't even remember reading that, or that I didn't know the name. He will always be Shallan's father, weird-ass father in my head.
Shallan's brothers, they avoided looking at their father or interacting with other guests whenever they have guests. But Shallan does notice that Balat keeps glancing at the daughter, and she smiles at him and then looks back at her food.
Don't do it, girl.
Balat.
Don't do it. Like, Jesus.
Does Balat have game? Like,
she smiled back.
Well, we know from last book, Balat does have a betrothed in the present day.
Oh, okay. I thought he had a betrothed at the time, and he was still winking at girls.
No,
I don't know why. Thinking of Balat winking at girls. This is so funny.
Because he's a fucking serial killer in training.
Oh, Balat. Okay.
You are the only person in history who has ever said that with that voice, Sheta.
He's so funny.
Yeah, I know there's other people out there who they just despise Balat because he pulled apart a crab in the
yes, he's
book.
A fucking psycho. Though these chapters did make him more endearing to me.
Well, I think he's just broken.
Yes, a lot of psychos are.
All right, and Shallan, she's kind of surprised by this with Balat and the girl. And their father, he's boasting about his prosperity. And Shallan, she didn't really want to correct him in front of the others. He has always been good to her. He never yelled at her, but sometimes she kind of wished that he would. Maybe then Jushu would not resent her so. And then Lyn announces that he has just received word from Bright Lord Gebelmar that he will be sending his youngest daughter to be his new bride. And Lynn gets upset that nobody says anything about this. He tells them that they are not Alethi, they are Vaden. And so then they all respond by clapping politely, but kind of uncomfortably. Just a nice little golf clap.
Her dad came off as quite the loser in these chapters. It was almost painful to read, honestly.
Yeah.
He's kind of come off as a loser in all the chapters.
Yes, but especially in these ones.
And then he pulls out some gifts that he has gotten for his children. For his 3 sons, he each gives them very fine daggers. And Shallan gets a necklace made of fat silvery links.
I was like, so a chain necklace. Interesting.
Yep, and Renarin, he's not at the party. And at one point in the chapter, Shallan even says that their father has started to referring to Balat as non-Balat. Because of that non part of the name, it's like an honorific for first son or heir. And then the door slams open and a man walks in. Lynn is upset, but then he realizes who the man is. The man has one dark brown eye and one light blue eye. He is Renarin, the bastard son of High Prince Valam, and he has come here after hearing rumors of the death of a light-eyed woman. At this point, their father tells everyone to leave. As they're leaving, the girl, she did glance at Balat before leaving and whispered softly. Shallan, she is frozen in her seat after hearing about their mother, and Lynn tells her to, leave, go sit with your brothers. So Shallan and her brothers are sitting at the far end of the room. They can't hear what's being said, but they still watch her father and Renarin talk. And Shallan, she does not want her father to fall. She wanted to stop the darkness that's slowly strangling them all. It seemed like their light had gone out when their mother had died. Balat, he wishes their father gets dragged away for killing their mother. But Shallan says he didn't kill her. Balat asks her, well, what happened then? But Shallan couldn't think. Had her father actually done it? She can't remember. And Shallan says, they're not talking about that. They're just talking about plants. And she begins making up this whole conversation that the two of them are having about plants. Just having this big long thing. And at the end, she ends it with a bad pun. Her brothers have a laugh. And Shallan says, they should laugh more. Jushu says this hasn't been a place of laughter. But Shallan says they just need to be more optimistic. But Balat says that doesn't change the facts. He wishes that Renarin hadn't have left. And Shallan makes another joke about their father. They laugh. And their father gets upset from the laughter that's coming over at that side of the room. And then Lynn slams his hands on the table and points at Renarin. And Shallan recognized the look in his eyes. She had seen it many times before when he had taken, his cane or a fire poker to one of the servants. Then Renarin stands up and says he won't get anywhere with this conversation. He speaks in a loud voice, saying that any light eyes of birth who can provide witness will be welcomed. And he looks over at the children. None of them are going to get up. Balat looks like he might stand up, but then he looked over at his father and stopped and went back down. Balat whispers that, he would kill him if he said anything. But Balat says that Shallan actually did see what happened, but she responds that she doesn't remember. And shame spread form around all the kids. Renarin says that if any of them remember the truth, then they will find willing ears in Vadenar. Lynn says that he will not tear this family apart. After Renarin leaves, Lynn just shouts at his children to leave. And that's the end of that chapter.
It was a very awkward family thing that happened. Definitely an awkward episode of Keeping Up with the Devars.
This was one of the more happy flashbacks. Everything else we've had, they sound like they're all insane. Here, at least we see that the kids kind of bond a little bit.
Yeah, nobody died or was abused.
Nobody was like walking around banging their head on a wall like a crazy person. Everything was relatively normal.
Not in the present, but Shallan thinks about how her father takes canes or a fire poker to their servants when he gets angry.
But that's not happening now.
Shallan stares at a wall for 20 minutes.
Yeah, none of that weird stuff. So I think things are getting pretty wholesome for these guys.
It just made it sadder to see this.
Yeah, this part, it's like you see right here, you're seeing like Shallan, like her, like always joking, saying all the witty stuff and everything. Oh, that comes from a place of coping mechanisms in order to try to make her family laugh in the horrible, depressing area they grew up.
That explained why it is that her frickin' sense of humor is so bitchy and stuff, Like, because she's, it's at the expense of her dad, basically. And I liked learning that. Sheta, you got to comment on that because you were always being so mean to her about it back in the day.
Oh yeah, it was. I feel very sad for Shallan. Now I feel bad for being a bully. I didn't know what your home life was like.
Anything else in this chapter either two want to go over?
No, just interesting. Like the more we learn about Shallan's family, like I feel like the less we know, too.
Yeah, because we make a lot of assumptions at first, right?
Mm-hmm. And then there's all this, like they have their own politics. Like who's this like base-born guy, cop guy who shows up? Just these characters that seem like they were characters in her life, but we had no idea about them.
I love that guy. I thought he was so cool.
Yeah.
I hope to see him again.
Mm-hmm. He seems like his own.
Well, because they had the 2-eye thing. That's a real easy way to describe somebody if you reintroduce them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. So, chapter of this title was Heterochromatic. Why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
I'm going to throw you off a bridge.
I'm not Gwen Stacy.
Jeez, too soon.
That's dark.
Too soon. That happened in 1973.
Heterochromatic eyes. That would be the answer.
Can you think of any other theming reasons? Because there'd probably be a lot of other things you can name this chapter besides that. So why else?
I would, except you've tired me with asking this question, so it's up to Sheta. You've asked me too many times when there was none.
I don't know. Maybe the kids have different eyes from each other?
You could say so many. There's different ways to see things based on the perspective. There's 2 sides to everything. Everyone has 2 sides to them. You could make up anything.
Oh, I see. Oh. Shallan could not remember what happened. So she had a side of her that's been blocked off. And that's the other side.
All right.
What I'm really interested to see is that there is somebody with a light and dark eye. I thought that was very fascinating with how important light eyes are in this world. I'd very much like to see more of that. I'd really like to see how people treat somebody like that outside of this weird, fucked up little thing this guy's doing.
Yeah, is he a light eyes or a dark eyes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to know what people think of him as.
Also, it also goes along with the fact that he's a bastard, so he's not really part of the royal line.
Yeah, but their entire thing is that light eyes put you a step above, but dark eyes put you down. That sounds like a very strange place to be for that guy.
Yeah,
this society believes that if I get a sword and my eyes turn white or turn light, then suddenly I'm of a higher status in society,
Mm-hmm.
Or that's what the legends say. So I'm very interested to see more of this guy, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a weird situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, even last book, when Kaladin was thinking about what would have happened if he married Laurel. If he had a child that was light eyes, his child would automatically outrank him. All right, so let's move on to chapter 40, Polona. Epigraph. That they responded immediately and with great consternation is undeniable, as these were primary among those who would forswear and abandon their oaths. The term recreant was not then applied, but has since become a popular title by which this event is named. All right. So, we're back with Shallan again. And Shallan, she's riding with Sabariel back to his war camps. And he wakes up after napping, and he says, she's changed. Earlier, he would have guessed that she was 20 or 25. But now, he doesn't think that she's older than 14. And he...
Weird when that happens.
Whoa, jeez.
I swear she was much older yesterday.
25, 10 years older? I think he said that to be insulting. I don't think he actually thinks she looks that young. It seems like he really likes to mess with people and keep them on edge and on guard.
Yeah.
Well, I think that she does look young, at least younger than she looked like earlier.
I didn't say she didn't. I said the number 14. I think he's
Yeah.
throwing that out. I don't think she actually looks quite that young. But that's
Yeah.
something that somebody like her, I mean, she does take it with a little indignation there. So I thought that was a funny thing to throw out. This whole guy, I feel like everything we learn about him, he seems like one of those people whose goal is for you to not be able to read them or know them, you know? And I always think those kind of characters are quite fun in stories. Or it's the
Yeah.
writer having fun. Reminds me of the drunken guy from White Sand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the admiral
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I'm just an
Lord
aloof,
Admiral.
useless fool.
And Tabariel, he could have also sworn that her dress was more vibrant before, and her features were sharper and prettier. And she asks if he always insults the looks of young ladies. When they get to his war camp, Shallan notices how nicely structured the buildings were. And he tells her that he has the most complete force of tailors, artisans, and cooks in all the war camps. He has also set up 12 manufactories. And Shallan notes the pride in his voice doesn't match at all what Yasna had written about him. And Shallan says that his forces are the least successful against the Parshendi. He notes that others gather the gem hearts, but what will they spend them on? His factories now, they will provide much more, with the uniforms and clothes and stuff, and also much more for food than they could get from soul casting. Shallan realizes that while the others are fighting a war, Sabariel has been setting up an economy. He says that his factories now will make him more money than a plateau run would. All he has to do now is pay fines to Dalinar for avoiding the runs when it's his turn on the list. Besides, soldiers die and then Sabariel would have to pay out to their families. This way he doesn't have to do that.
See, that's the kind of talk I mean. I think it's going to be revealed that he actually cares more than he pretends. He's acting like, oh, I just care about the money, but actually he's like, this war, the useless waste of life, one of those guys.
When they get to Sabariel's palace, they enter and find a dark-eyed woman, who's also a Herdazian. She's like, please don't tell me that you kidnapped this girl. And Shallan realizes that this must be the mistress. And she learns that her name's Pelona.
I'm sorry, this is based on almost nothing, but I was like, ew, a Herdazian mistress?
Jeez.
It was just like, gross. What the hell's wrong with you? But that's, that there's really no reason for me to say that. It's just my instant automatic reaction.
Given that
God.
Oh.
He's dating a female Lopin?
Basically, that was my thought. I was like, ew, gross. Especially,
my Lopin looks like Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, but Pelona
apologize to all Herdazians for that.
I mean, I think we've literally, before this, have met two, because we met Lopin and one of his cousins that was just randomly there with Bridge 4. So Pelona asks who Shallan is. Sabariel says, she's just some foreigner who wanted to come with me. And he agreed to it because it seemed to annoy Dalinar. Pelona says that she's too young for Sabariel. He tells her that, I already used that line on Ruthar. Sabariel walks into the next room, and Pelona asks Shallan to give her the full story of this. So while Shallan's telling the story, Sabariel's just shouting, comments from the next room. And Shallan's just like, is he just standing behind the door listening? And Pelona says that he's good at skulking. She asks Shallan what she was promised to be paid. And Pelona, tells her that she'll make sure that happens. And Pelona finds Shallan a room, and Shallan's trunks are brought in. Shallan also tells Pelona about her soldiers and slaves. Pelona says that they'll find something for them to do, and they will be paid out of Shallan's stipend. So once Shallan's alone, she just takes a moment to take in all the luxury of her room. She hasn't had luxury like this in a while. And then she falls asleep on the bed. And that's the end of the chapter.
I like the description of her getting into the room. It feels like it sounded like after camping for a weekend, coming home or going to like an air-conditioned hotel room or something. Just like, gosh, I can finally take a hot shower.
Yeah, with running water and everything. That's a huge step up from traveling in a shit-filled slave caravan, yeah.
With no shoes. Like,
yeah.
Basically living in the wilderness, like,
mm-hmm.
with the elements. Yeah. Just like, civilization. I like that.
And even before that, she was just on a ship for whatever long. It's like she would not have had any luxury since Carbranth.
Mhm.
I really, really like how Sabariel here is saying the kind of, I think something kind of obvious of like, no one's really admitted that we just live here now, you know? Like, this isn't a war camp. This is the beginning of a city. And that he runs his camp a lot more like a city than a war camp, you know, with the arrangement being more straight and stuff. And how he's seeing a longer game than a lot of the people here are, because they're just, it's interesting to see the Alethi people who are not as into the war aspect, because they're the ones who actually seem to be able to build things, where the war guys just seem to, they just want to do that one thing.
Yeah, they just keep distracted with the Jim Hart stuff
Mm-hmm.
and the politics.
But I like how he's not like, oh, this is terrible. He's just being honest. He's like, well, we're out here now. You know, he's not being anti-war. He's just saying, well, somebody's going to make money off this. And also, I, at the same time, I suspect that he's saying, oh, this is just for money. But secretly, he's actually kind of like, you know, looking long term and planning things, unlike most people. Like, you look at everyone who's out here. I think he sees that you could improve the quality of everyone's life, and you could build something positive out here, you know, for the people, where everyone else is just seeing the people as resources, as soldiers, basically, even though their freaking families live out here with them and everything.
Yeah.
Anything else in this chapter either of you two want to go over?
No, just that I did not expect Shallan to set herself up like this when she got here. So
Yeah, but you thought she was never going to get here, right?
yeah, but I kind of had a vague idea of what I thought would happen once she got here, and it's not what's happening. You know.
All right. And this one, I think the chapter title is pretty self-explanatory. Pelona, we met Pelona.
Now I do want the challenge of what the name Pelona represents.
I don't even think that's a word.
When you pull on a thread, it leads you to a new life.
I wonder if she knows Lopin.
Jeez, that's pretty. It's gonna. I guarantee right now, she's one of his cousins. I'm calling it right now, Sheta.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say that's just racist, but the way Lopin's story is, I bet he's gonna be like, "Don't worry, one of my cousins is very close with one of the frickin' lords."
Yeah, I thought that 100%. Oh, my cousin Paloma. Yeah, she'll get us in.
Oh God, no. What what it's gonna reveal? All fucking Herzardians consider each other cousins. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I tried to look up Pelona on Google to see if it had different meaning. The first thing that pops up is some sort of a AI program called Pelona that gives multi-location restaurants AI agents that answer every call, capture high-value catering, and monitor operations.
Hey,
that's
number
what
two
the world come to, huh? Okay.
Number 2 result for Pelona is having to do with Cosmere.
With the question being, why did Pelona kill Shallan? So you really don't want us to look it up.
Now the question is, did the people that made that AI app for restaurants, did they take the name from Stormlight Archive?
I highly doubt such a thing. That business model you just described sounded like a bunch of nonsense. So,
well, basically, she's a secretary for him and a mistress, I guess.
She told him that she won't marry him. All right, so let's just move on to chapter 41, Scars. Epigraph. This act of great villainy went beyond the impudence which had hitherto been ascribed to the orders. As the fighting was particularly intense at the time, many attributed this act to a sense of inherent betrayal, and after they withdrew, about 2,000 made assault upon them, destroying much of the membership. But this was only 9 of the 10. As one said, they would not abandon their arms and flee, but instead entertain great subterfuge at the expense of the other 9.
Interesting what we're reading here compared to the snippet we saw. You know, it's very fascinating to me to say it was subterfuge to not give up his arms like that.
Yeah, it's kind of saying that one of the 10 orders did not break up or disband.
Yeah, but we literally saw it too. So it's weird, this like mixture of legend and fact, and I'm really curious to see when everything kind of comes out in the end, what the hell anyone's talking about, or what the people now even know.
Yeah, what happened and what got all like
What and
scrambled
why.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what got scraggled around, yeah. That's something that's very fun about fantasy stories, is you get to play with that in a very literal way.
Also, what we saw, there were only 2 confirmed orders there because they only said Stone Wards and Windrunners.
Oh, I was talking about the beginning of the book, when everyone abandoned their arms except one guy. That's what I was thinking of when I said that.
Oh no, that was different because those are the heralds giving up. This is Words of Radiance, so this is about the Knights Radiant.
Yes, but you don't think there's similarity between the two? That's what I'm saying.
I thought that too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what they were talking about.
Yeah, I think this is all being written about, all like, these are, gone down in legend, so they're writing about a few different things at once. That's how I'm reading it. Unless I'm missing something specific that I don't realize, of course. But yes, I know that they're writing about everyone coming to the castle and laying down their stuff. Same for the reasons of that, because it seemed like when they did that was a noble thing, So I'm very curious to see.
All right, so this is a Kaladin chapter, and Kaladin has brought the members of Bridge 17 down in the chasms in order to train them. Teft tells him that the lads are ready, and Kaladin asks Teft where he was the other night. Teft explains that he was off duty and he went to see what he could find in the market. Kaladin's curious about this since it was a high storm with Teft going out like that, but he didn't press further because Teft was entitled to his privacy.
Teft, what you doing? He's being weird.
And Kaladin, he leaves the training to the Bridge 17 members to Teft and Pitt, and he goes farther into the chasms. While he's walking, he's thinking about the writing on the walls. It's now down to 37 days. Syl asks Kaladin what he wants, and he says to keep his men alive. But she responds, no, that's what you wanted. What do you want now? She tells him that he had dedicated himself to saving them while they were in Bridge 4, and he succeeded. He can't keep going and trying to protect them all. So Syl once again asks what he wants. He says that he wants to beat the assassin because it's his job to protect Dalinar. Syl says, no, that's not it. And he's like, have you gotten that good at reading humans? She tells him she hasn't gotten good at reading humans, just Kaladin. So Kaladin says that he wants to beat the assassin because this is all his fault. If he hadn't killed Gavilar, then Tien would never have been drafted into the army and died. Syl suggests that Roshon would have just found some other way to get back at his family. Kaladin agrees, yeah, that probably would have happened, but still, the assassin deserves to die. Kaladin, he reaches a point in the chasms where Rock, Sigzil, and Lopin are, standing around talking. Sigzil says that nobody's asking the right questions about the assassin. They say the Parshendi are savages and hadn't met any other humans before they had met the Alethi. But then how could they have had a Shin assassin that could surge bind with them? Sigzil's not implying anything, but his master did teach him to ask questions. The Shin are extremely xenophobic and rarely leave their lands, and now one goes around assassinating kings with a shard blade? Is he still working for the Parshendi? Kaladin asks if that really matters, and Sigzil says it does. Besides, discovering his employer might give them a clue to that employer's goal.
These are the kinds of questions that drive me crazy, because it implies that this is not a common question that's asked, but I just imagine that there would be plenty of people who would be asking it all the time. We're just not seeing them. That's how I justify it. But it's almost like the writer calling out things that are like, not plot holes, but like just elements that haven't been covered that the audience would be asking about, and then giving word to the audience in order for me to say, like, oh, okay, people are asking, but it's only Sigzil asking as far as I've seen, and that drives me nuts. Like,
and everyone's like, shut up, Sigzil.
Well, yeah, that too. But like, these characters, I believe they wouldn't be asking. They're like, oh, who cares? That doesn't matter, And like, I know Dalinar's touched upon this, a few people have, but I would like to see more of that earlier. I always would, because it's very frustrating when what you think is a relatively reasonable question is not being asked, though I do try to keep in mind that this is a very different culture, and we're actually only seeing an incredibly small number of the people in this culture. We barely see any of the armies. We only see a few of the nobles up top. Half of them, it's beneficial to be out here, so they don't really care about the Parshendi. Half of them actually don't just are literally not xenophobic, like straight up. I don't know if you can call it racist when like they seem like a different species to them, but they think they're like animals, you know. I try to remind myself of that, but it's still frustrating to me to have Sigzil be the only one who's really openly talking about this.
And Sigzil, part of it could be because he's not even a Lethe, he's Asish. Asish. So if this is like,
yeah, I thought you said Asian at first.
I always think
it's
that.
like, wait, he's Asian? Why does that mean that he'd ask this?
No, but it's, and yeah, you're right. We don't see too many people questioning, but like you were saying, culture with a Lethe, like somebody that is doing that sort of questioning or was Yasna. And we saw how everyone thought she was weird and like a heretic.
That excuse can only go so far, but so far he hasn't pushed it too far, like with a couple things in previous books. So
I think this culture.
I don't want Sigzil to be the audience surrogate character all the time, though.
Just that he specifically built a culture built on a mystery, like that is hiding a big mystery, or hiding information and stuff like that. You know, so I think he's playing with those ideas specifically.
I think so far every book we've read has had that in there, right? So
yeah, so the entire culture is built off of like not asking questions or not really caring or finding it necessary to dig for things like that, you know?
You know, he writes about this every time. I know he's very religious, but you can tell from his work that he questions his own religious feelings, you know? Maybe he has more experience than I do being within a group where what would seem like a very normal question is looked upon as a very strange thing to ask, you know?
Like, don't ask, just believe it and stuff, you know? Or like,
yeah, not even don't ask, just like, why are you asking that? That doesn't, like, to somebody who really deeply believes, they're like, that question doesn't even make sense, you know? But as somebody who's clearly much more logically minded, you have to grapple with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like the culture of when you're surrounded by people who just think, well, faith means you don't ask any questions, you know. So then why would you ever think about it, you know?
Well, you don't need to ask questions. You just have faith, right? You know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But then I think I'm coming at this from another wrong place too, being that I'm from the modern times where we have the internet, you know. Any question anyone's ever asked about anything is on there. Everyone reads it and it's like, yeah, that's a good question, you know. Maybe I don't have a context for what it's like to exist way the fuck back then when like information, it's not that information is hard to get so you can't answer your questions, but like the concept of questioning things is less because you couldn't get an answer anyways. So what's the point in even questioning things, you know? Maybe that's the disconnect I'm having with that. I could justify that.
Yeah. Or like you have to have connections like Yasna to go into a library, you know? Like,
yeah, and even for her it's an immense amount of work, because if you question why did the Parshendi do this, I think a lot of people would be like, for some fucking reason, and that would be about the end of it, because there's no way to know, you know?
yeah.
So it could be that simple, but that's the best steel man I've got for against my own position.
Kaladin, you know, he brings them away from that topic and he's talking about how the assassin was able to walk on the ceiling. Sigzil asks if he was just doing the same thing of what Kaladin has been doing, like sticking rocks to the wall and stuff. Kaladin says no, and adds that, you know, when Adolin wound up going up there, it seemed more like he fell onto the ceiling and was able to move around and everything. Kaladin asks Syl if she knows how this works, but she just shook her head. Kaladin asks if the assassin was a windrunner, and Syl says she thinks so? Something like Kaladin. Sigzil wishes that he could see Syl, and then she just appears out of nowhere and it just freaks him out. Like, oh my god, it looks like a little person.
That caught me off guard. I didn't know she could do that.
She did that before.
Revealed herself to somebody?
Yeah, last book she did it to Lopin.
Lopin doesn't count.
Whoa.
Oh. Okay.
I assume Lopin has some kind of weird Herzerdian power. This is a regular human. This is different.
What? No, it's Rock that has the weird power where he can just always see her.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, she has to reveal herself.
That Lopin had something like that too.
She couldn't appear before Lopin until Kaladin told her to.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's only when you truly believe in fairies. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, sure, we'll go with that.
He wants
wrong,
to say no
but
so
sure.
badly, and yet
It is.
It's wrong, but sure. You can believe that if you want.
That's always a great part. I just read Peter Pan again, and that's in the book and I really like it.
Did you clap to try to bring Tinkerbell back?
Of course, I had to.
did you really?
Yeah, the narrator asks you, the
I've
child,
seen that part. Yeah.
listening, to do that. You have to say you believe in fairies, or else
Did it
Tinkerbell
work?
dies. Yes,
Did
she
she
came
live?
back. Yep.
Oh, last time I read the book, I didn't clap and Tinkerbell died. Things went bad after
No.
that.
How could you? Like, start your adventure over.
If you clapped, go to page 101. If you didn't clap, go to page 120. After a discussion about Spren genders, Sigzil says she talks just like a real person. He says that stories say that the Night Watcher might be capable of the same thing. Kaladin says they need to figure this out because the assassin will return. And Kaladin, he's now spending the time kind of looking at and regarding the wall, and he can kind of feel the storm inside him, daring him to do what to do. And Sigzil goes on and he asks if they can assume the assassin was the one who had sabotaged the king's railing. Rock asks why he would do that if he could just kill the king so much easier. Sigzil asks, well, maybe it was one of the other High Prince that did it, but how did the saboteur get up onto the railing? And he asks Kaladin if it was a Shardblade that did it. And then at this point, Kaladin, he's able to now just make it so the wall is the direction of down, and then he falls onto it. The others are surprised to see him walking on the wall. And Syl now, she urges Kaladin to go out onto the plateau into the sunlight. But he says there are scouts out there. She tells him to stop hiding. And Kaladin whispers that he has to know. The reason why he wants to protect Dalinar is that he has to know if he really is what he seems. He has to know if there at least is one of them that lives up to their reputation. That will tell him if Honor is dead. Syl says that he is, but he lives on in the heart of men, and in her.
Not quite what I think he was asking, but I really like that. Like, Jesus. Got really fucking deep or big there.
Oh, I know Honor. He's my friend.
Oh,
Or he's my
not
dad.
really.
Yeah.
And she says that Dalinar is a good man, but Kaladin points out that he is friends with Amaram. He could be the same. Syl says that he does not believe that, but Kaladin says that he has to know. He can't just believe it. He has to know. He wants to know if he can trust Dalinar, and if he can, then he will tell him what he can do. And Cal tells Syl that he is broken, but she says that he has been reforged. She asks, what about Amaram? What will you do? And he says that he will kill him. Syl tells Kaladin not to let this destroy him. He tells her that it can't, because Amaram already took care of that.
Yeah, emo Kaladin's back.
Yeah, I always like when Kaladin returns to emo. I've missed that.
I imagine
the same
some
thing.
hair falls over his eyes, and he's just like, I'm gonna kill him, of course.
That's a lot cooler than what I saw. I like that.
I think that he actually always has his hair kind of going over his eyes because it's trying to cover up the scars on his forehead.
Oh, so you're saying that we're not even making this up. It's explicitly in there.
Emo Kaladin.
Because he has like shoulder length hair, and he's usually trying to at least cover up the slave brands and stuff.
All right, then suddenly he's got some eyeliner on, and he's
Just looks exactly like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3. Is that it?
Yeah.
I can see that. I like it.
I was thinking more with the longer hair, it'd be more kind of like Eric Draven in The Crow.
That's a bit emo. I didn't go that far, but I like it. You go that route with Kaladin in the movie, I think they could have one of the most popular characters of all time.
It would have to be early movie version. It can't be like him as the Crow. It'd have to be early.
No, I did not imagine him as the Crow. That would be very different than the tone of this
book. Kaladin's finally going to get his costume at the end of the book, and he'll just look like the Crow.
Yeah. Here's the Wind Runner, like the
costume.
We all dress like this.
Well, honestly, it could happen because they get marks on them and stuff like that.
Oh no!
When they use their powers, so
he
just has like Crow makeup on.
Certainly hope not.
Yes, do it.
When the ground reasserted itself, it's down. Kaladin falls, because he had walked up the chasm. He falls down, but he lands feet first. And then he tells Sigil that, yes, that railing was cut by Shardblade, but it was not the assassin in white that did it. Also, the rail had to have been cut after the high storm. And they're talking about how could it have been possible for somebody to sneak in, past all the guards and stuff, get out there and cut the railing. Sigil suggests maybe it was a rope. A person could have just snuck a rope in, tied it around their body, go out into the balcony, and lowered it down for the saboteur to climb up. After they cut the railing, they climb back down, and then the person that brought it in just cuts the rope, drops it to the ground. Kaladin feels unsettled about this whole scenario that they're describing, because Moash had gone out onto the balcony.
I don't believe it. Red herring.
I have some thoughts.
And Sigil says he'll ask around about this, but Kaladin says, no, don't. I'll do it.
Oh no.
And then Kaladin, he looks around, he does notice that this area is a lot cleaner than had been in the past, like all the bodies and stuff had moved around. He asks, why did you clean this up? There was no reason to. They tell him, we didn't do that. And then they all look at the wall and they notice deep gouges in the wall. They realize that a chasm fiend had passed through here and moved all the bulk. And Kaladin says, maybe we shouldn't bring the guys to train down here for a little while.
Thank God. That's what I've been thinking this whole time. When they had to train down here, I was like, yeah, you got to. When they don't have to, I'm like, guys, this is like one of the most deadly places in the entire area you're in.
Yeah, like you guys forgot, like you had no choice but to be down here, and it was the worst duty of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you're building your second clubhouse down here. Like you guys got way too comfortable. I keep wanting them to meet one. Like,
They will eventually, and it'll suck.
oh no, Lopin.
No, Lopin will be fine. Lopin, Rock, Sigil, and Moash will be fine for now. And Teft. Well, maybe not Teft. It's everyone else you should worry about. Anyone whose name I can remember, I think will be fine for at least a bit.
Okay.
What about the next level of people like Scar, Drahe, Leighton, Hobber?
Those guys are all red shirts in waiting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Justin does not remember those guys.
Just enough that when I hear their names, I'll be like, man, I kind of remember that. That's sad.
No, like
And
off
then
the
they're
top
like-
of your head.
They'll be like, oh, remember when he did this? And I'll be like, shit, I do remember that. That's so sad.
Also, Hobber should not be going down to the chasms because he cannot use his legs.
Hey, just gotta
Auburn
work
will
his
now
arms.
hobble everywhere. That's kind of mean to call him Hobber, and now he hobbles.
He doesn't hobble, for one, but we've never seen that happen.
Well, once they make new legs for him,
Mhm.
or like he still has his legs, so they just have no soul in them.
All right, so then we jump forward a little while later. Kaladin and the others, they arrive back at the Bridge 4 barracks where Stu is being, served and eaten. But something just kind of felt wrong. Teft
When
even
you
says
started
aloud-
saying that, I have to step in. I was like, who's Stu? As you started talking. And then he was being served and eaten immediately as I was thinking that. I was quite horrified until my brain caught up to the rest of my thoughts. Like, did I miss a chapter? Why did you...
Yeah, they do that every weekend.
I think it's just because we were saying all these names. And so I'm like, okay, which one was that again?
Good old Stu.
Oh, Stu, you're a new member of the Bridge crew? Well, we eat stew every night. Sorry about this. You just ran out of luck.
Stupid.
We can't get you confused with our food. Yep, so everything feels wrong. Teft even says aloud that something's off. Kaladin looks around and he notices the reason why. Renarin Colin was sitting on the ground, sitting down staring at the ground.
I felt like Kaladin here. I'm like, oh my god, what is this?
I loved this.
I know, because you like Renarin quite a bit. I know secretly you do.
I do.
I don't think I've ever related to a character in this book more than Kaladin in this section. Again, it's really interesting when a writer can put word to everything I'm thinking. He just did that with Sigil, now he's doing it with Kaladin. That means he's trying to win me over on Renarin. He knows that I am unsold on the character, so it's really interesting to see that.
Yeah, he's working you.
He's trying. We'll see.
So Kaladin goes over to him and asks him if there's something he needs. And Renarin stands up and he salutes and says that he would like to serve underneath Kaladin. He wants to be in Bridge 4. Kaladin tells him that he can't be in Bridge 4. Bridge 4 are the bodyguards for the Kholin. What's he going to do, guard himself? But Renarin tells him that, I won't be a liability and that he will work hard. Kaladin asks, why do you want to be in Bridge 4? Renarin explains that his father and brother are soldiers, but he is not. He says that he has a blood weakness. Kaladin responds that a blood weakness, that's just a folk description of many different conditions, and asks, what do you really have? Renarin answers that he is epileptic. Kaladin gets more specific in asking about Renarin's epilepsy. Renarin explains that he's had it since he was a child, and they're not as bad as everyone says. He doesn't fall to the ground or froth or anything like that. His arm will sometimes jerk a few times, and he twitch uncontrollably for a few moments. A lot of times when it happens, his body will get real weak on one side. And with the questions Kaladin's asking him, Renarin questions, are you really a soldier? Now I have to say, this part I found hilarious after last week with you guys talking about Renarin. Just because Sheta was saying, yeah, it says that he has fits and stuff. It's like, I think it's demon possession.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, she's like saying it's demon possession stuff, and I'm just here like, really, you can't think of anything else? Not epilepsy.
I don't know what kind of diseases and illnesses they have in this world.
Demon possession.
It still could be. No. Now we know. They actually have like illnesses with names and stuff and symptoms and whatever.
I'm glad to finally find out what the fuck is wrong with him, because before it was so vague, it was driving me nuts. But this only further cements my opinion on him.
Yeah, they made it sound like some kind of hoodoo condition, not like...
No, I never heard some hoodoo condition. I never heard that.
Oh, I'm just a diabetic or something. Like, all right.
And Kaladin says he can see why they don't want to send Renarin into battle. Not every man is needed for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Renarin responds, yeah, that's what everyone tells him. But then they all just go back to fighting. And he's also taught that the afterlife, it's just one big war to reclaim the Tranquiline Halls.
That is the only thing Renarin said so far that has partially justified the way he feels. If he truly believes in the afterlife, then that's about the only thing that I've heard so far. But there's other ways to help in war, too. You need just strategists. Like, he's smart. He could be a brilliant strategist behind the scenes,
Yeah, but you want the best place in heaven.
I don't think that's how that...
Well, so you do need to kind of understand war and know how battles flow in order to be a strategist, so he does need some experience with that.
That's crazy. No way. There's plenty of people who are the smart people, and they're just not strong at all, who could plan things out better than anyone who's in the field,
You could just, learn how wars go and, the art of war and all that stuff.
Especially when your father and brother are two great war people. That's a lot of insight you can glean from them,
And you can be good at a video game too and not have been in a war for real.
Yeah.
And he tells Kaladin that he doesn't need to set him to anything important. Kaladin's men, they're spending most of their time out patrolling. So if Renarin's out patrolling, they won't be in much danger. And also if he has a fit, it's not going to hurt anyone. But at least he can see and feel what it is like. Renarin says that he will follow his commands, and when he is here, then he's not the prince's son or Light Eyes. He's just another soldier. He even explains that when Adolin was young, their father had sent him to serve in a spearman squad for 2 months. That way he understood, what it's like for the soldiers. And Renarin goes on saying that he has shards now, and he is going to be in a war. But he's never felt what it's like to be a soldier.
Mm-hmm. That's rational. I can follow that one too.
And he also adds that it will be easier to watch him if he's already in Bridge 4, if he's already with Bridge 4. And Kaladin could tell that Renarin coming to him and asking him all this stuff terrifies Renarin. So Kaladin sighs and tells Renarin, all right, start collecting the stew bowls and washing them. So Renarin gets up and he does this with enthusiasm. Moash comes over to Kaladin and asks, are we really going to allow him to join? Kaladin says that he'll talk with Dalinar tomorrow and get his read on it. But if any Light Eyes could fit in here with them, it'd be Renarin.
Because we're all losers, basically. If any group's going to teach him how to fight, it's the one that's training a one-armed guy.
End
the
of
frickin'
Parshman.
Parshman, yeah.
Welcome to the losers.
Yep. Losers Club.
Mhm.
If it's anything what the Losers Club fought, it sounds like it might be similar.
I have a feeling that Kaladin wouldn't have a lot of trouble against Pennywise.
I
When
don't
you get
know
someone
about
like
that.
Shallan here, who has such a vivid imagination to fight things, I think they're going to obliterate him.
Until when Kaladin goes to fight Pennywise and he's turning into like Tien and with Shallan, Pennywise would probably just turn into like her mother and the
Oh, I forgot.
lover
She
on
has
the
the worst trauma to exploit possible. I forgot about that.
she'll just freeze up. These people are too broken to face Pennywise.
Okay, Dalinar. Nope, Dalinar has his forgotten wife.
And-
You
Aelin,
know who's
maybe.
going to beat Pennywise? Sadius is going to beat Pennywise.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think he's the one. He'll just send his army against him.
the most
Sacrifice
Constitution.
as many Bridgemen as putting it necessary.
But also Pennywise doesn't really go up against adults. So
Not until they learn about him and do some kind of weird exploit. Though Sadius wouldn't think of that, so I think everyone's fucked here.
Moash, he's not happy, and he says that Renarin doesn't act right and is strange. He also adds that he is a light eyes and they can't trust him.
Oh man, when Moash said that, I was very impressed. Somebody else sees Renarin the way I do. He's a fucking weirdo. There's something wrong with him. I can't word it, but there's something fucking wrong with this guy.
And then Moash asks Kaladin, so what are we going to do about Amaram? Kaladin says, Amaram's my problem. Kaladin says the man is a murderer. And he asks if Moash thinks that they should go to the authorities. Moash just laughs and asks, well, what will they do? He tells Kaladin that what he needs to do is get Amaram in a duel. Until he brings him down, then something is going to feel wrong in Kaladin's gut. Kaladin says that it sounds like Moash knows how it feels. Moash says, yeah, I have Voidbringers in my past too. That's why we understand each other.
I like that
Kaladin-
terminology. That's cool. Voidbringers in my past.
In his mind, Kaladin wonders, what did the king do to your family, Moash?
Moash mysterious past. I want to
I
know.
find it funny that Kaladin already just believes Moash did it because all the evidence points to him.
He doesn't. He just is very
You
suspicious.
just said, what did the king do to you? So why are you trying to kill the king? And it's funny that while thinking that, this is why Kaladin's not a good bodyguard. While thinking that, he doesn't think, he's betrayed the king. He thinks, what did he do to you? What justifiable reason may you have for killing the king?
Yeah, what Amaram type vengeance do you need to do?
Like, he already doesn't like or respect the king. So I think the king, Dalinar, I think his reasoning for, trusting Kaladin is pretty dang good. The guy did save him, and what has he got to lose? What does he care? The worst that happens is this guy betrays and kills him. He's on borrowed time anyways, he doesn't trust anyone anyways. The king allowing Kaladin to have so much control and power over him, I think is foolish and stupid. He doesn't know anything about this guy,
Yeah, but that's the king. You've always thought he was stupid.
Yes, I have.
Elikar just goes along with what his uncle says.
Yeah, well, that's only after his uncle committed treason and beat him up.
Like, say, uncle. Okay, now shut up. Basically, Dalinar's ultimate uncle.
And then the other Bridge 4 members, they begin to leave and they shout for Moash, hey, come join us. Moash tells Kaladin that they're going to go to a few taverns and asks Kaladin to join. But Kaladin declines. After they leave, Syl asks Kaladin why he didn't go. And Kaladin says he can't live that life anymore. That's the end of the chapter.
Did he ever live that life? I can't imagine Kaladin ever went to the bar and hung out with his friends, because he was in school and then in an army and then enslaved.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't really even have a lot of friends before then.
Yeah, and then his friends keep getting wiped out and stuff. So
He's getting wiped out. Actually, when he was in the army, that's when he would have done it with those friends.
He was there for
to
4
unwind
years.
some steam between battles before his brother had died. He would have then. Yeah.
Do you think Kaladin lost his virginity?
I will answer no such question, Sheta.
think they have like camp prostitutes and stuff like.
Why in God's name was that question asked right now out of nowhere?
I'm just wondering because he's never had a girlfriend and he's been busy, but soldier stuff.
Yeah, soldier stuff.
Or will Shallan be his first?
Oh my dear God.
Ooh, or will Eshonai be his first?
Was that on the table?
Yeah. Some
Ugh.
kind of shard blade fight sex.
Please, God, Joe, move on.
I'll bring up one thing from my notes of the Way of Kings.
God damn it, Joe.
And Kaladin was thinking of all those he had failed. There was one point where it says, he thinks of Terra, who he hadn't thought of in some time. His failure with her had been different from the others.
Ooh. Failure to... Never mind, I'm not going to say that.
Right. And then another part of my things, he wonders what would have happened to him if Terra hadn't coaxed him out of his single-minded determination. So there is something in his past having to do with a girl named Terra, and his failure with her was different from the others. So it's not one where she got killed like everyone else that he thought of that he failed.
See. So
But
he
that's
did.
all we have. That's all we have is those two lines that I just said. Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Not anymore. I'm scared of what Sheta will say if we go any further.
I love this setup with Renarin. I just love that. I'm a rich boy, but I want to join your shitty crew that no one cared about last year. Now it's the cool guys club, and I want in.
It is. I don't know if it's the cool guys club.
It is. You got everyone in the army wanting Bridge 4 like badges or tattoos or whatever. Like they're just because they saved everybody.
It's just funny. My immense hatred of Renarin has not abated here, but the amount of humility he has, I find very fascinating in here. How he's just so happy to do anything. It really makes me wonder what was the past that he did not pursue this earlier. It would have to be that his father was a little more checked out, maybe didn't take a big hand and just kind of like left him to the side because of how he was described as being. That could be the only way I could justify why hasn't he pursued this kind of stuff before. But I'm still like, Renarin, everyone should play to their damn strength, and your strength is not fighting on the front lines. But he also points out, war's coming, things are going to get crazy. I've got this shard blade. I can't just be a nobody. He's got me on a limbo with this character, and it's either because he's trying to win me over with him or he's trying to trick me and not to make me not realize that he's evil.
Yeah, I can't remember the first time I read the book. Honestly, I didn't think too much of Renarin before, but I remember this chapter just kind of endeared me to him, just with him being like, just going up to Kaladin, asking to join, and just some of the stuff being like, you guys are going out on patrol, so at least that can get me some experience without just, taking Renarin, throw him in the middle of battle and being like, yep, figure it out.
That was a horrible idea, but it's a trap. Don't trust it.
How's it a trap?
It's a trap for you to make you think this is a nice, trustworthy guy. He's actually the evil god reborn on this world.
Yeah, with his possession fits.
No. Maybe. I doubt it.
He's not even frothing or anything. His arm slightly shakes.
Yeah, because his arm is the real Renarin inside of this body trying to escape out. Right, Sheta?
Yeah.
So Renarin's going through the same thing as Eshonai?
Yep.
Basically, yes.
There's so much weird stuff happening with people in their bodies and stuff that I think something like that could be possible. Possession. Parchment songs.
All right, so the title of this chapter was Scars. Why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
Because Kaladin has psychological and physical scars that will not heal, despite the fact that he's pursuing a path that should allow that he needs them to be able to heal, and if he pursued it fully, they would go away.
Also, the mystery of why his slave scar has not healed.
Yeah, that's what I meant by physical scars.
which I have a theory about.
My theory is psychologically he won't allow it to heal.
Oh, that was my theory.
Oh, that's what I was saying with my thing.
Not, yeah. Basically, he still identifies as a slave, so it doesn't go away.
He can't give up. The slave mark represents his distrust of and hatred of the Light Eyes, his desire to kill and get revenge. And that's that's my
And that
assumption.
until he gets his vengeance, he doesn't want it to go away.
That too. There's a dark part of him he wants to hold on to because it keeps him safe and strong, and it keeps him from being tricked again.
Yeah, he's just protecting himself.
Mm-hmm. Basically. But you can't do that if you're going to be part of his order. You need to protect others.
Yep.
Okay, now we'll move on to chapter 42, Mere Vapors. Epigraph. But for Ishi-Elin, his was the most important part at their inception. He readily understood the implication of surges being granted to men and caused organization to be thrust upon them as having too great power. He let it be known that he would destroy each and every one unless they agreed to be bound by the precepts and laws.
See, here's why I'm talking about ancient times. That's some ancient time kind of talk. That's some weird creation myth type stuff. Now, have we heard the name Ishi-In before? I don't recall it.
Ishi-Elin, let me look at one thing.
That's their other brother, Uncle Ishi.
Who's they?
Oh, I'm thinking of the Colons. Never mind. But Elin sounds like Colon.
Elin, you have heard like that part because like when Tal, he says his name is Talinel Elin.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was a smudge in the text and it was actually a colon.
Okay. All right. Let's just go on with the chapter.
Sheta, you can't just throw out random nonsense.
It's not nonsense. I have a theory that will support that.
You have a theory that will support that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So Shallan is awakened by Pattern's humming. She asks if someone came in. He answers, someone's came in, but they are gone now. And Shallan notices that, well, looks like it was servants that came in. They had left food. So as she's eating, she notices that Tin Spranreed was blinking. It would be the one that's connected to the people who were connected to the Ghostbloods. So Shallan gets a Spranreed, sets it up, and waits for them to respond back. While she's waiting, she's looking over the past communications that Tin had with these people. And Pattern says, there's a pattern in the words. And after he explains how it's going and stuff, she realizes, oh, this is a code they use at the beginning of each message to confirm that it was Tin talking to them. She realizes, and if they start talking to me right now, I would have just fucked this thing up completely, like almost immediately. And Shallan thinks that Shallan could not infiltrate a group like this. She begins drawing a person that's slightly older than her with dark eyes and dark hair. And she sucks in Stormlight, and she breathes out some light, and it envelops her. She didn't feel any different, but a block of hair that fell in front of her face was black. She looked in the mirror, and the face that she drew was the one that was looking back at her. And she hadn't fully finished drawing the nose, so part of this illusion, it wasn't fully finished, so it's still kind of like normal, like a hole there. And the illusion over her, it's made of light. So like the nose is slightly bigger, so she moves her hand through that part of the nose. It kind of fuzzes a little bit and then goes back to normal when she moves her hand away.
I couldn't help but imagine this in like a really shitty, low budget, like 90s, early 2000s looking way, where it's like clearly this horrible little like
prosthetic.
Either CG, no, like a shitty CG or pre-CG, like a TV budget level effect.
Oh.
Like it just looks so terrible in my mind. I couldn't see it any other way though.
That's so funny.
I tried to see it like it was described, but I think I've seen that done poorly too many times.
I think it would have been endearing to see it like that.
No, it would not.
Yeah, but Shallan asks, what can I do with this power? And Pattern tells her whatever she can imagine. She asks how long will the illusion stay? And Pattern says that it feeds on light. So it stays up as long as you have light to feed it. And then the other person on the span read they begin the communication. So Shallan, with Pattern's help, she's able to give the proper code back to them. And then that person tells her that the Ghostbloods want to meet tonight. And Shallan responds that she's not ready, but the person says the Ghostbloods were insistent. Apparently, Yasna's ward had arrived in the war camps today. If she refuses to meet with them, then it could be a severing of ties. So Shallan, as Tin, says that she's ill, but she will send her apprentice in her place. The person says they'll do it, meet with the apprentice, and asks if she can make it to the Sabarial war camp. The person will draw a map, and Shallan will need to be there by Solas's moon height. Shallan, looks at the clock and realizes that would be about 25 minutes from now. So that's the end of the message. And she needs to finish off her outfit after her different face and dark hair. So she puts on some of Tin's clothes, including trousers, a white coat, and wearing a glove instead of a sleeve. And she also wears Bluth's white hat. And Shallan goes out into the night in her disguise. That's the end of the chapter.
Naughty girl wearing a glove. That's like wearing a spaghetti strap or something.
No, that's like going... I think spaghetti strap might still be a little too covering.
Maybe a belly shirt.
Well, I think also it'd be if you're a higher person like Light Eyes, it's like wearing a belly shirt. If you're Dark Eyes, it's just like wearing normal clothes.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever remember to bring this up when we were going Way of Kings, but in case you guys haven't put it together, Roshar has 3 moons. I know in the past they mentioned the moons and stuff like that. And right here it's she needs to be there by Solas's moon height, so by the height of that moon.
I did not put that together.
Yep. There are 3 moons, each a different color. Purple, blue, and green. So you also hear sometimes mentioning green moonlight or stuff like that. Yeah, it's not really super important, just a fun world building thing is the 3 moons of different colors.
Cool.
All right. So anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
No, because this chapter basically bleeds right into the next one.
All right. So title of this chapter was Mere Vapors. Why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
Because that's what this is. Just vapors made into visuals. And it represents when you make something out of nothing, as she is doing with this persona and these lies.
I think it's the smell of the city. I don't know.
What? You can't just say that without elaborating. What does that mean?
City smells with pollution and street food and stuff like that.
She hasn't gotten into the city yet.
I'm just rolling ideas out. Just to say something.
Just to say something? I should have thought of that.
All right. Well, we'll just go on to our last chapter for today. Chapter 43, The Ghostbloods. Epigraph. And thus were the disturbances in the Rev Toparchy quieted, when, upon their ceasing to prosecute their civil dissensions, Nalan Elin betook himself to finally accept the Skybreakers, who had named him their master, when initially he had spurned their advances and, in his own interest, refused to countenance that which he deemed a pursuit of bandy and annoyance. This was the last of the heralds to admit to such patronage.
I love the way this epigraph guy writes. Everything's got to be 10 times more complicated and wordy than it has to be. And I love that kind of writing, so I find it very fun. You're actually saying something relatively simple.
He walked out of the bathroom.
Maybe not that simple, but yeah.
No.
However, they're dropping a lot of stuff on us here that I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
And implying a lot of stuff too with the we've been wondering about the herald since the very beginning. It's interesting that as soon as one shows up in the book, actually, when they're dragging him back, that we're starting, or when he's talking all delirious, we're starting to finally get some trickles about these different orders and where they came from and stuff like that I find very fun. And I feel, I don't know if it's confirmed, but I feel getting a sense for them as characters, what they represent and what they've built since leaving. So I hope to see more of that.
All right. So begin the chapter. Shallan in her disguise is walking through the streets and nobody's paying attention to her. In her disguise, she almost felt invisible. People did not move out of her ways, though, like they did when she was a Light Eye, so she kind of had to squeeze through the bodies, and she loved it. She winds up stopping in front of a cart that's selling glazed fruit, and she tries to pay for a piece of fruit with an emerald mark. The vendor just stares back at her and says, I can't break that.
It's like, that'll be 30 cents. Okay, here's $100.
It's like, oh,
Or
I only
more
have
than that.
hundreds on me.
Yeah.
We don't accept any bills bigger than a 20 here, honey.
No, they don't accept anything bigger than $1 here.
Yeah.
Even that seems like it'd be quite a bit of money down
Yeah,
here.
don't you have like a dime? Like,
hmm
yeah.
Like you go to a lemonade stand and hand them $100.
Yeah, I remember, working retail, you get some of those people. Yep, total will be $3. Here's 100. I can't break that. And you have sometimes when people get upset, it's like, why not? If I give you, then I'm gonna wipe out my entire drawer. Now the next person needs to buy something, can't get anything.
Mm-hmm. Like it's so tedious to go to the bank and get change. Just go to the bank, guy. Oh, funny.
And also, I worked across the street from a bank. So Shallan realizes that the emerald mark that she gave them is worth 250 times what the glazed fruit costs. So she says, well, here, you can keep that. That'll be both for the piece of fruit and directions about how to get to where I need to go. So after the person gives her the directions, Shallan leaves. And she tells Pattern to trail behind her and to watch to see if anyone's following her. She worries that the vendor could have been giving her bad directions in order to lead her into a trap to rob her. And she wonders if she could light weave a second image, and also how much light her current weaving is using up. Pattern eventually comes back and says, no one's following you. So Shallan arrives at the building that she needs to get to, and a guard lets her in. He follows her as she goes downstairs into a basement. And she's just questioning, what am I doing? This is crazy. When they get to the bottom of the stairs, Shallan's led to a trap door and has to climb even farther down. And as she reaches the bottom of the ladder she's going down, the trap door above her closes. And she looks around the room that she's in. There's a long dining table in the middle, and on the walls there are shelves with many things in glass cases. There were about a half dozen people in the room, but she's drawn to a man with jet black hair and white clothing that's looking at the wall. And he reminded her of someone from her childhood, the messenger with the smiling eyes, the enigma who knew so much. But then the man turns around and his face was just really scarred up, and she realizes that this was not the man from her past. And this man lifts up a blowgun, and he shoots a dart, goes like right by Shallan into a tapestry behind her. And the man says that Tin is unwell, and Shallan confirms this, and then he blows another dart right past her head.
This was so rude, I thought.
I'd say it's beyond rude. It's purposefully antagonistic to scare her and keep her on edge. And I'm like, there's probably a part of him where he is one wrong answer and I will kill you. I want you to know this,
Yeah, it's through the whole conversation he does that multiple times, just blowing darts right by her. The man says that Tin is a coward, and he suggests that he could just kill Shallan. Shallan says that, well, she needs to start someplace, and so I decided to come. The man says, well, you are bold. And he has some men place some spheres on the table in front of Shallan. He tells her that if you tell me where Tin is, then you can just have those spheres.
That was a trap. It's very funny to me that she has no interest in those spheres. She doesn't care about it. But everything this guy is doing is a trap to see, should I kill you? I think it's very funny. So it made me really like him. Everything she says in a second is completely true.
Yeah, Shallan says that, no, I'm not going to sell Tin out to you, and you know I won't. Because if I was willing to betray Tin for a price, then I could do the same to you. And he tells her, well, I could just torture you and get the information. Shallan responds that, sure, you could, but it's not like Tin told me where her whereabouts were going to be anyways. And so the man says that he could just kill her for fun. And she says, no, you won't do that because you don't seem like the type to throw away something useful. And he says, all right, very well.
All of this, to test her nerve, to test everything. I found this too hilarious.
And then Shallan notices that a woman has taken a seat right next to her. She looks over and this woman's wearing And it took her a moment before she realized it was a woman, but she's wearing a carapace mask, and it looks like she's had it on for a while because the skin has started to grow around the edges of the mask.
Ew.
And the woman also has an exposed safe hand. And the man says that, when you were coming here, I was expecting to just kill you and then hunt down Tin. And Shallan then looks around the room. She's looking at the trophies in the room. There are several gem hearts. All of them in there is worth more than her entire family estate was. There's a tusk from what she assumes is a white spine, what looks like an eye socket from a santhid. She also notices a vial of pale sand, a couple of thick hairpins, a lock of golden hair, a branch of a tree with writing that she did not recognize, a silver knife, an odd flower in a solution, and a chunk of pale pink crystal that looked very delicate.
It's very strange to me that you read off all of those, Joe, and it makes me think that one of them is incredibly important.
Well, I'll ask you, the first one on the list was a vial of pale sand.
White sand. It's a Cosmere collection.
White sand alone isn't enough to make me think that it's anything special outside of...
Pale is a synonym for white.
Yeah. It's not enough to make me think it's anything outside of just like a reference, But when you read those all off like that, then I suddenly get much, much, much more suspicious.
I thought it was all suspicious, all interesting.
How so?
Just listing off those details,
Mm-hmm.
with the kind of nerds that read these books, like they're definitely going to be taking notes.
Did you get anything from them?
Yeah, the white sand.
You did?
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it before Joe got a chance to? You would have sounded so smart.
Not really.
I know there were also two other things where I have a idea about what they are, but I don't think there was any confirmation. But there were two things from stuff we've read that I thought could be.
Yeah.
Well, read through them again. Wait, Sheta, do you have something?
No.
Oh, okay, read through them again.
So everything, there was a vial of pale sand, a couple of thick hairpins, a lock of golden hair, branch of a tree with writing that she did not recognize, a silver knife, an odd flower in a solution, and a chunk of pale pink crystal that looked delicate.
I hope the thick hairpin is a piece of metal that Ruin's spirit is inside of. Like to pierce people. And he can live on through that in another world.
The earring?
Ruin lives on and says it.
Well, you know what I mean, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, so yeah.
Yeah, that is, I was thinking that the hairpins might just be, hemalurgic spikes.
Yeah.
The other one, it might be harder to remember. But at least I could also be very wrong on what I think it is.
I don't know. You got anything, Sheta?
I was just trying to think of something was kind of crystalline, like in Elantris, so I was just thinking of that. I thought it might be like human skin, like Elantrian skin, or
Wait, what skin?
I don't remember, but
No. What on here is
not
skin?
Elantrian. Yeah, since it was pink, I thought it might have been like some kind of flesh turned crystallized from something. Crystal? Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
Like some frickin' what are the transforming guys from
Ghostbloods? Something, because like it looked, if it's so fragile, it might have just been described as a crystal, but is a little bit of flesh.
I'm not convinced it's anything but a reference or nothing at all until I hear otherwise. So I'll have to write that list down and watch for them in later books.
Want me to say the other one that I thought of from something we read?
If it's not a big deal, then I would.
Yeah, because the one where it says an odd flower in solution, because in Warbreaker, you had the flowers that were called Edgley's Tears, and that's what made like the really nice dyes that were so popular in Tutelar and got them so rich and stuff. So I was thinking that's the only thing I can think of as a flower. So maybe it could be a flower, one of those flowers from there.
Was there a magical element to that?
Not that I know of. So that's the only thing I can think of as a flower, unless Brandon has a plan for a different flower thing in the future. Or it could be, oh wait, I do remember one other flower that was major in Cosmere. It could be one of the flowers that Mare had a picture of.
Yeah, I was thinking of that flower too.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be magical either, right? I feel like if this is just a little reference, then who cares, whatever. But if it's like actual world building stuff, then I would assume that everything here would have some kind
A
of
real value, not sentimental value.
yeah, some kind of not mystical or like totemic power of some sort, maybe.
Yeah, the flower. I bet it's some kind of ingredient flower.
It's from the book he's gonna write, where it's just flower magic, and it's gonna be his finally jumping the shark moment.
Also, I
Like
guess
I ran out of ideas, just flower power.
golden hair could be one of two things. Either could be a hair from the royal locks from somebody of the royal family on Warbreaker,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be hair from an Iriali in Roshar. So we've heard that the Iriali, their hair, it's like not blonde, kind of golden.
Yeah, but that'd be like kind of creepy because you're just taking some person's hair.
Yeah, this
And-
guy could never be creepy.
Not for a magical purpose.
Sheeta, you said that could be creepy. You thought one of them was somebody's skin that turned into crystal.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, that's what, like I said, I don't think there's any confirmation on any of those, but those were some where that's what I thought it could be, at least for stuff we've read. Yep, and none of those also in that room had any plaques near them explaining them to Shallan. The man tells her that he is called Maraise, and Shallan tells him that she is called Vale. He asks her if she knows who Amaram is. She says no, and tells her that Amaram, he's in the war camps, he's my current prey. He says that inside Amaram's manor is secrets. And he tells her that, you need to go and tell Tin that her new job is to come back next week with information on Chatchil. She'll know what that means. Shallan worries because she has no idea how she's going to accomplish this task. Maraise, he puts down his cup on the table, and Shallan sees that his hands are just like really beaten up. And he also has a signet ring on it with the Ghostblood symbol. And Shallan tells him the task will be done. Maraise says, "Don't harm Amaram, little knife. His life belongs to another." And Shallan, she takes a memory of all the other people in the room and leaves.
His life belongs to another gets me so suspicious about what I've said in the past about these weird people who've read the books and are coming in knowing what is supposed to happen. Like, I just need this info, but the plot wants Kaladin to deal with Amaran, so I don't want you touching him. These people who can, like, read destiny or something. I said that as half a joke before, but the more I hear, the more I start to, like, talk myself into believing that kind of really weird, nonsensical thing.
yeah. Like this is more lost stuff. Like Jacob's like got a plan for everybody.
Mm-hmm. But then their killing of Yasna and wanting to do that stuff makes me really question and wonder about that.
Yeah, maybe Yasna was getting. Anytime someone was kind of like getting onto something, they killed them.
Who else?
Yasna's dad, the king.
Oh, that's true. If it was the same people, of course.
Yeah, and
There's
now
a
Dalinar.
well, there's clearly a secret that people are trying to keep. That doesn't mean that it's people from outside the world trying to keep it or anything like that,
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring up one small line from last book with Amaram. Because this was when Kaladin, when he was in the room after, he killed the shard bearer, Amaran walked into the room and he's talking to one of his people. And he's like, he asked, why would Thydakar risk this? And that the Ghostbloods grow more bold.
Mm-hmm.
So at least Amaram at that time believed that it was Ghostbloods connected to this person named Thydakar that sent the person to try to kill him. All right, so as Shallan's leaving, going back to her place, she realizes that she had no plan when she came here. How did she expect to get information from them about Urithiru or to get them to leave her brothers alone? As she was walking the streets, Pattern tells her that she's being followed. It's the person with the mask.
That's the one I
Shallan-
want following me the least. That thing was creepy.
Yeah.
Shallan thinks that she could use light weaving and she tries to shape like a large person in order to hide her, but the light just goes out and just fizzles away. It doesn't work. So she pulls out the map she had earlier. On the back of it, she begins drawing a wall. Then she walks down into a side street, and she's able to light weave a wall right in front of her. So, person, if they look, they would just see a wall.
Why do I think of like Wile E. Coyote and stuff for this part?
I didn't think of that, but I can totally see it now.
Man, I thought more like Batman in the Batcave.
Like
No,
he's
I like you pull up a cartoon picture of a wall to cover it up.
yeah. That's what she did. She drew one, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Quick, draw a hole in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So Shallan stays there for a while and finally asks Pattern to check see if the woman's out there. Pattern says, nope, she's gone. So Shallan walks through her fake wall. And then her light runs out and the wall and her disguise both vanish. Shallan then, she shoves her gloved safe hand into her pocket because she's too embarrassed to have that out. And she makes her way back to Sabario's palace. Once she gets back, she thinks that was the most ridiculous thing that she had ever done, and she was excited from the thrill of it all.
Was the thrill capitalized?
No,
Okay.
she wasn't trying to murder everyone.
I don't know. Maybe the artsy types get a different kind of thrill.
And she was no longer the person who had gotten sick from the experience of stealing from Yasna. She hasn't been that for weeks. She will now have to find a way to investigate Bright Lord Amaram and earn Moraes' trust. She needs to make an alliance with the Colin family, and the way to do that is Adolin. She needs to find a way to interact with him without looking desperate. And that seemed to me the most pleasant of all her tasks.
Oh,
That's the end of our chapters this week.
I say, oh God, but I'm deeply excited for these Shallan trying to court Adolin chapters from both characters' perspectives.
I just wonder, is she gonna do like an Aladdin where she's like, I'm gonna be the coolest, sexiest girl and like try to seduce him, or is she gonna and then and have her true self accidentally slip out sometimes, and Adolin kind of likes her real self a little more, like, or is she gonna just try to do it authentically? But I bet she's gonna draw out like a really cool girl and be like, this is how I'll get him and stuff.
My guess is things are going to go really smooth and natural with the two of them until he does whatever it is that pisses off every woman he's ever met. And then it's going to drive her nuts.
Sometimes I want to say things that I have to not say. So
With the things you do say, I don't even want to know what that could be.
I've said it before, so I'm excited for the courting.
Anything else from this chapter either you two want to go over?
I just think this book really feels like the next season of a show where we introduce like a lot of new cast characters for the season, and I wonder if I don't know. I'm all untrusting of this new cool like underground leader guy
You don't think you're supposed to be distrusting of him? He's like so goddamn shady. He's got a cartoon scar on his face.
I mean that
got a woman with a fucking monster mask.
Let me finish. I mean that I don't trust that he's even gonna be around, or is he a big deal? And like, or is he gonna just get killed, or get shown that actually he's just a pawn for this guy? Or
I think so. I don't think he's a big deal at all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not that I don't trust him. Like, he is a little too try hard with that blow dart. Yeah, I bet that maybe that mysterious shell-faced lady is the one that's, in charge or connected to the one that's in charge. And yeah. Also, he could be a character we've seen before in disguise too.
Yeah, but couldn't you say that about anyone ever?
Yeah, but this guy's got kind of like the first time we ever meet someone who is part of this kind of mysterious underground world, and then also all the like the Cosmere collection, that kind of made
if
it
that's what that is. I'm not fully convinced.
Pale sand, Justin.
Yeah, I mean that is a very specific way to say that to try to tip you off.
Yeah, like whatever they are, they know about something, Yeah.
title of this, I think we know what it is, because title of this chapter was the Ghostbloods, so that makes sense. We don't need to go into the title.
It represents how all blood is tied to the past that's no longer around, though we think it's so important in the modern day. We are ruled only by ghosts.
Shallan has the blood of the Marvel comic character Ghost.
No, I always thought the name of Ghostblood was very silly. It sounded like a Scooby-Doo band and stuff. But I wonder if that has a kind of in-world meaning, like because when you're slashed with a shard blade, you're slashed in your soul, and souls can kind of be like ghosts, and so I wonder if they're the missing blood, the ghost.
I thought you were going to say that the blood that's left over is now ghost blood because it's not tied to a living being. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Okay, well, not the same, but yeah. I think that, just in that world, it could mean something more.
All right, we'll just move over to our theories and predictions segment with a question I'll ask you too. We'll start off. So, did Moash have any connection to this attempt on the king's life?
No, total red herring.
Yes, he did, but not knowingly, though. I think that he's being kind of used like a scapegoat by whoever is actually trying to assassinate him, who I believe is Teft.
Teft?
Yep. Teft, who was also gone during the storm, and he might have been like, "Hey, Moash, you want to hand me this rope?" And then Moash like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then he does it.
Hand me this rope.
Yeah. So he thought it was for something else, but
I'll need you to wear it under your shirt, by the way. I hope you don't mind. Oh, no problem, Teft.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So he's being set up by Teft.
So Teft has a shard blade?
Yes, he has a secret shard blade.
Now, why does Teft want the king dead?
This is an old job that he is trying to do. Because Teft has a mysterious past. Yeah, he has powers and he has a mysterious past. Oh yeah, and then my other little bit of why I think they did it is that Sigzil said maybe they used a rope, and that is an old bridgeman trick that they did. They used rope in the chasms. So I think it is someone in the bridge crew, and I think that's Teft.
I think that
And
your
Moash.
thought on the rope thing from a writing perspective, I think that's a clever way to think about why. But in universe, couldn't you say that Sigzil thought of that because of that bridgeman trick?
Huh? That he thought what?
That he thought of the rope thing because of the bridgeman doing it.
Oh.
I'm not saying that that's what it is,
Maybe,
but couldn't
maybe.
you justify that as just as much?
You could say that. But I don't think that.
No, I don't think you should. I'm just made me think that.
Yeah. And then the other thing is yeah. I'm so curious to learn about Teft's mysterious past, because he also sensed something was the matter right when Kaladin sensed it too. So he might have a spider sense, just like Kaladin.
Well, I just think no. I think he has nothing to do with it at all. I'm still not convinced it's not Renarin trying to help. Like, not in an evil way, just trying to help.
How would killing his cousin help?
Well, we already went over this because he wants to help Dalinar rise up to king. Because he knows that he sees the problems that what Elhokar is causing.
I see.
Now, I don't necessarily believe that fully, but I'm still not convinced it's not that.
Now, would Renarin be planning to make Dalinar straight up king? Or would he be planning just to make Dalinar the regent? Because Elhokar's son would technically be king.
I'm not hung up on the details of that. Either one's fine. Something that is almost a childish understanding of what should be done.
He's like, "Oh crap! I forgot about my nephew. I'm gonna have to take care of him too."
That. Just to get him in a higher position because he sees the way the king is holding back what he wants to do.
Yeah, but is he though? Because he's basically king.
Yeah, I'm not. One, I don't actually fully believe that's what's happening. Two, I think it's a bad plan. If it was, I think it's a very, very poorly conceived plan.
Let's see.
To be fair, Kaladin and Dalinar also agreed that this attempt to kill a king was a poorly conceived way to do it.
Yes. That is part of what leads me to thinking it may be Renarin because of how just stupid and childish of a plan or of an assassination attempt it was.
That's true. I would have to think Teft was pretty. Okay, he's just old and he hasn't done this in a while. That's what I think.
Yeah.
All right, and then any other theories or predictions, feel free to go out, throw them out there.
Yeah. I think that history is blending together the heralds walking away and the orders kind of forming and falling apart. It's all kind of blended together. It's become kind of mythic, like it's hard to say. And we probably talked about this before, I'm sure, but the heralds all left. They all started the different orders. I think that's what we're watching happening here. But they didn't purposefully start them exactly. Humanity started kind of like wanting them to replace whatever it was before when they protected them from stuff. The line about there being subterfuge in the 10th, I don't think that's from the order. I think that's on the last guy. But no, when he arrived, he seemed like he truly believed that everyone else was around too. So maybe I don't believe that. Yeah, just that stuff that I don't even think is theory. That other stuff I think is pretty explicitly being said, but that's what I got from these little bits. But I definitely think what we saw and what we're hearing from history are not the same thing. People have totally misinterpreted all of this. Because no, that we know that for sure, because they don't even know what the Voidbringers are. They don't know what a desolation is.
I think they're all names for the same thing. If your theory is right, So like, and whatever's coming, yeah, is the same thing basically.
I'm sorry, the same thing as what?
Just that if it's the same pattern and stuff, then that the void and the desolation is just that's just what's coming.
Yeah, because a desolation is when the Voidbringers rise,
Mm-hmm.
So what are you saying is all the same thing?
Oh, I think it's just one thing. I don't know. I just liked your pattern idea. I thought that was good.
Let's hear it.
That the same story keeps playing and stuff,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And that they rise up, they fall, and that men change, and even though it continues and the players are different, it's just the same thing.
Could it be that I don't know, is there something to contradict this, that the order that left their swords was the order that followed the only one who remained in that hell cycle? Like they couldn't do this anymore because it had turned into something wrong and bad now when they'd all left.
So what we saw from one of the epigraphs earlier was that the Talonel Lin Taln, he was the one who was left behind,
mm-hmm.
and the people who had followed him were the Stone Wards.
Mm-hmm.
But in Dalinar's vision, the Stone Wards were one of two that we were specifically seen there that left all their shards and
it was two
away.
who left all their shards there.
Yeah, we saw two.
Okay.
Yeah, because we saw Windrunners and Stone Wards in that scene specifically, and there would be 8 other orders that were out there that that are just they're not around they're not around currently anyways.
Interesting.
Okay.
So I would have to assume from that who leads the Windrunners regretted the action they did of abandoning. That's my theory on that, because I think the personifications that all of these follow are going to have a big part on why the things that have happened in the past have happened.
Oh, okay.
And I think a lot of them disappeared. Maybe the other ones disappeared because they totally lost their purpose and they just dissipated to time, and some force took advantage of that and took the powers that they had. But these guys, knowing that was coming, now that they weren't protected or they weren't strong enough, some vague thing, I don't even know what it would be yet, left them so that men could take these powers so that they could live on, because they could not be taken from regular men, because regular men can't fall in the same way because they don't have the same virtues to take advantage of. That's my theory based on that for the day. If that made sense. I'm not sure because I'm just half-assing that right now. Sheta, here's where, like me, you say either, no, that makes sense, or you made no
Oh,
goddamn sense whatsoever. You
okay,
say
sorry.
one or the other.
I think that's interesting.
No.
That
Did the
makes
words that I said make
oh
sense strung
yes,
together in that way? Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
yeah.
Last week when we had that guy read off how we sound when we talk, it made me think, sometimes we make no goddamn sense whatsoever.
Then I wonder, like, for that, Syl is a little fragment of honor and stuff,
Mhm.
So how is that allowed? And like how she said she was the only honor sprint who was kind of sneaking and doing that and stuff.
Mhm.
So like is there a loophole like that? And like you know, and then why and how is not Shin, I'm sorry. How is Zeph doing his powers then, if he doesn't have a sprint?
My guess it would be based on the nonsense I'm throwing out that what Zeph is doing is part of how these no, because that was the Windrunners. Something where some other force is hijacking these powers so you don't need to have these virtues to touch upon them, because it was saying in one of the epigraphs that they were only willing to give these abilities to men with some rules. I think those rules may have been the different concepts you have to embody in order to access them, because they don't want just anyone having all these amazing powers. They only want people who will use them for a specific strong purpose.
Okay, I have
And
it there now. I think that what the Parshendi are doing is some kind of, ignore the alien part, but alien scientists kind of calculating how these powers are working and then writing songs about how to access that power and stuff. And
well, yeah, and I think they must have worshipped these like evil entities that stole all this from that just usurped all this power because they have these gods they once worshipped that they now don't like. It's this
yeah,
whole mess
yeah.
thing. Something to lead life on this world astray. But I feel like we've got like bits and pieces of all this stuff, and just I feel like we're so close to forming a full picture, and I don't think they're going to give it to us in this book.
No, I think it's pretty cool then that yeah, that they're because everyone's kind of tapping into the same kind of powers, but not really understanding or knowing how.
Hmm. Yeah, it's fascinating that Shallan's just trying stuff out and being like, "Oh, that worked. That didn't."
Yeah. So then I wonder how many people in the wild have also tapped into that.
Same.
Because
I think it's going to turn out there's quite a few more people than we think who are touching upon this.
yeah, like Teft.
Not like Teft, but yes.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
like
you just mean from him sensing the stuff. Yeah, okay, that.
yeah.
I think Teft I think it's pretty much just said that what he came from, they know more about this. Like he's learned more about this than the normal person.
Mhm. And if he has, and he could have like he could be really old too. And then there's also Zyle and stuff. He's he could be part of that old stuff too.
I don't think Zyle's from this world.
Yeah, I don't think so. I also think that's kind of silly, but I don't know.
I don't think we've had any evidence that Teft was one of the heralds, Shita. That's what I'm saying, because I think that's the kind of thing
I
you're
don't
touching
think he's a
upon.
herald. I think he's a old radiant. Old radiant knight.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we shall see.
Yeah.
Any other theories?
I have a little silly one. Just that I think the princes of the houses are supposed to be the ones that wield or represent the different powers and stuff, and that Dalinar got honor, and he's supposed to like lead them all to following their thing that they have to have and stuff. But since they don't have it anymore, it's really hard, and it's all scattered. So I was kind of trying to think about like what the other princes might have in them that needs to be brought forth, like Sadius, what could be in him that is a virtue and stuff like that
Lies.
maybe Yeah, something.
Lies can go along with cryptics.
That's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
The same thing Shallan has. That would be the one I'd go with.
I mean, she thought about an alliance with him. Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
It'd
So.
be counterproductive to her plan to marry Adolin, but
She didn't know that.
No. Yeah. So, I think that maybe that's why the old king got killed, because he was starting to do that, or head towards there, and that's why now Dalinar is, because he's tugging on a thread. Yeah. But
Yeah, I don't know if Dalinar is important or if he's just next on the line of leaders who need to be killed.
if that was the case, it would be Elhokar.
That's true. I don't know why I didn't realize that, but that is true.
I think he's the only one doing the honor thing and wanting to bring back the knights and stuff like that, and that's a big step in the direction. Ooh, and now Dalinar's got one Windrunner on his team already, so that's a pretty big move too.
Will he be honorable enough to keep him? That's the question we get to see now.
Yeah. Well, Sil says he is, so hopefully they get going and make a whole team.
all right. Well, let's go over to our character of the week.
I have to go with Sigzil because he asked many of the questions and frustrations I've been having. I don't want to because I feel like he was meant for me to pick, but I will just eat it and do it anyways.
You would. I'm gonna go with Renarin, of course, for wanting to join the Bridge 4. Like, Bridge 4 was something no one wanted to be part of, and now we have basically a prince who wants to come join them. They've just come a long way, and yeah, I really I hope it goes good for Renarin, and I hope he doesn't get killed. Unless he's evil, which then he must be killed.
I thought you're lying. If he's evil, you're going to say, "No, I really hope he doesn't get killed."
That's true. Yes, if he's evil, let him be the main bad guy.
And then with me, I guess I'm going basic with going with Shallan. I liked her whole her infiltration into the Ghostbloods and figuring out her light weaving powers, making disguise and all that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, doing that on the fly. I can't believe she's still just making shit up as she goes. Like, she had no plan again. Like,
it's the right way to do it. You make a plan, things will only go wrong, like Indiana Jones says.
Yeah, but she didn't even know how, at least a vague plan or an idea, She just went
she had
there.
An idea. It was walk in.
Yeah.
Well, it all worked out.
We'll see. It'll be very funny if it turns out these people can just see through her magic.
All right. Now let's go over to a couple comments. So first from Words of Radiance, chapters 18 to 23 from Reader Warrior. Is that a flippin' 1984 reference?
Probably.
It was. We start off the episode with that.
Mm.
Welcome, Justin 2.0. If I remember correctly, Brandon has someone, maybe Isaac, doing the White Sand prose version.
Oh, he's not even writing it?
No, I believe he is. I know that he has two of his closest friends. They're the people he said that if there's ever anybody who writes a Cosmere book that's not Brandon Sanderson, it's only those two would be allowed to. And I know one of his friends, Isaac Stewart, he also does a lot of the art in the books. He has been writing a Cosmere book that's, yeah. But the prose version of White Sand, I know a couple years ago he was trying to set it up. He was going to see if he could maybe get it done by the end of the year, but he was able to get done the outline and stuff that he wanted, but then he got to the end of the year and he said, once it hit the end of the year, I was going to put that down and focus on this trilogy I was writing. So he was going to do it himself unless something since then he has decided to hand it off, but
so
that's
Joe,
the
I
last
have to
I
ask,
heard of it.
Are there people who aren't really into the Cosmere, don't care about Brandon Sanderson, they just love one series who fucking hate him because he splits his attention? Because I could imagine that would be very, very frustrating.
I haven't heard anybody that gets upset with him splitting stuff, but I know some people that's like, you know what? I only like Mistborn. I only like Stormlight.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I've seen anybody gets like, you know what? I'm pissed that I only like this one series and he writes other stuff. Because, hey, at least he still releases stuff. It's not like other authors who's we've gone to enough in the past where they get too distracted with other stuff like TV shows or playing video games to release books.
He who will not be named.
I was thinking of at least two people when I did my descriptions. Continue the comment. Chowta is storming delicious. I make it frequently, like every 10 weeks.
What? Really? Or is that just a little joke?
I assumed it was true.
Never had it in my life. Not
What's in
planning
it?
to.
It sounded like just meat covered in gravy and like a falafel sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what me when I read it in the book. I could be wrong, but that's how I took the
Oh, okay.
description.
That sounds pretty good.
Chapter 18. Stormfather, forgive me for this. I've always thought of parshmen like cattle/cows. They can be used to move heavy equipment, but if they want to or made to, can pick up speed after a bit.
Sounds right.
As iron sharpens iron, siblings sharpen sibling.
Is that the Devars?
I don't know this. I think this might have been Kaladin fighting Adolin, so maybe like they're kind of like brothers.
Oh.
All right. You know, we need a Vasher to teach us everything.
Yeah. We didn't get a Vasher, we got a Syl.
If Kaladin needs to be using his powers to protect whenever he wants to use them, then why was he able to use them while they were testing them? Surely that was more about self-discovery than protection.
Totally disagree. He's learning how to use those powers specifically to better protect his crew. Pretty much everything that he's ever done has been to protect his crew.
Yeah. Plus, I think the more thing was like his powers didn't work against Adolin because at that point he was being selfish and he wanted to fight for fighting. When you're just learning how to use a power and sparring with other people, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's not about wrong. It's your intention is still, I want to learn to use this power so I can protect in the future.
Okay, so the intention is the part that matters.
Yeah, because obviously, you can't just do something without learning how to do it,
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, just the intention in your heart and stuff, when you have anger in your heart.
Yeah, not even in your head. Yeah, just your soul, your heart, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's just
Chapter 19. When I first started Stormlight, I had the darndest time keeping characters straight. I eventually got a hand on it. But imagine if Kelsier was in these books. Then it would have made it super difficult. Kelsier, Kaladin. Kelsier probably giving everyone short nicknames to try.
I was imagining Kelsian was going to wipe out the whole he was going to wipe out the whole Alethi army basically for their nobility. They're representing everything he hates with their noble beliefs. I would love to drop Kelsier in here and watch him go to war with Dalinar. That sounds awesome.
Why would he fight Dalinar?
Because he's a noble.
What did the nobles here do to... Would Kaladin be a parchment in this world?
Not in this world. He just hates nobility.
I guess he could be a Dark Eyes.
I'm not saying in this world. I'm just saying Kelsier is not a fan of people putting themselves above others based on some random trait.
I see.
While others suffer. And I don't think he's going to... I mean, he almost killed Elodin. Elodin. That was it. Oh my god.
No, he never almost killed him. He just he thought about how a plan might lead to something that could get Ellen killed, and Finn's just like, no, I didn't tell you this so you could kill him. And then later he actually went out of his way to save Ellen's life.
I thought that was very sweet. That's like a father's approval of your boyfriend.
But that's also because Ellen was kind of stupid and ran into the middle of a fight of a bunch of people and Inquisitor in order to try to save the girl he had a crush on.
I miss those guys.
All right. Chapter 22. One of Sheta's quotes. It will track with how I see Kaladin. See, Sheta just wants the I can fix him boy to be as much needing fixed as possible. Make him a murderer who will betray his oaths, and she'll love him even more because she's fantasizing how she would bring him back. Making Kaladin as broken as possible, killing Syl, or having him rejected by Dalinar would all just make him more attractive in her eyes.
Oh, see, you're so close, but you don't understand her. She is not imagining how she can fix him. She just wants him broken because she wants him broken.
Oh no, don't put me out like that.
Remember, this is the girl who's in love with Zane. There's no fixing Zane. He is psychotic.
I love you the way you are.
Yeah,
All crazy.
I like you the way you are. You don't need to change a thing, Zane.
Yeah.
Chapter 23. Gaz has paranoia about the discomfort given to him by his dead eye. Justin Sheta. He must be an important magical character down the line.
He didn't have discomfort about his eye. He saw something.
Elhokar sees spiral heads, hears voices, and is repeatedly under threat. Justin Sheta. What a little bitch.
He is a little bitch. He totally is. Shallan had that, and she didn't react like that.
It is weird that, we don't know much about him personally, but just the things he says, he seems to not even want to explore that or question that or
exactly
do anything.
My
about
opinion,
it.
If you're king and you're seeing spiral-headed people and you give half a shit about your kingdom, go learn a little more about that. See if you're going insane.
Tell somebody,
you can't just tell anybody. Dalinar had that problem.
Yeah.
But you need to be like, are there any legends about spiral-headed people? Just I heard a man talking about that and was curious. Something, anything. Not just like I'm fine, everything's fine. And just getting increasingly paranoid and crazy.
Yeah, unless we find out he's been secretly researching it and practicing his kind of skill, I'm not gonna think very highly of him.
Completely agree. He drives me nuts, but he's supposed to. So
he's got all the resources to do stuff like that.
Yeah, the resources of the king. He could learn anything he wants to.
He's got a sister who's super into that stuff. He could totally have asked her. Well, he doesn't have that sister anymore, but maybe a sister-in-law now.
You mean a cousin-in-law?
I count them as my sister.
All right. Then Roads of Radiance, 24 through 28. Reader Warrior. Ugh, Justin 1.0. Fine. Joking, I missed you last time. That Lucius guy was a real piece of work.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Muppet Stormlight has been joked about by Brandon before.
I like Muppets. I think that it would have been cozy. I like fantasy Muppets, or puppet in fantasy stuff. I think it's much better.
From chapter 24, I guess I just made that up. Sheta's new catchphrase.
Yep.
Chapter 25, Kashmir cliche 10. A main character hates horses for no reason.
It's not no reason. Horses are freaky.
And if you get the wrong one, they can be kind of a little bitch. But you got to be a horse whisperer, or you're gonna have a bad relationship with your horse. It's always amusing when someone's horse doesn't like them.
Why are you still going on about horses?
I'm just thinking of all these.
You just got all these horse thoughts just waiting to get out. I have nowhere to go.
I love when people have a relationship with their horse. That's all like. Oh. Yeah. I just think that's a funny thing I never thought about in the Cosmere stuff.
Chapter 26. How is Renarin supposed to get good without being allowed to train? As a Navy brat, it's hard not to want to join the military, even if we aren't experienced or good for it. The Kolins weren't letting Renarin train, either because they didn't want him to, didn't trust him not to have a fit, or didn't have the plate to trot him to practice in, which he has now. What's important is he wants to help and is able to recognize his flaws. Up until now, he has never been in a fight, but now he has. Will he do as Adolin thinks and just gain more combat experience, or will he come up with a different solution?
A lot of people want things that their situations will not allow. Some people find what they're able to do well and excel at it immensely. Some people sit around and wait for their dad to give them magical plate mail so that they too can fight or whatever without ever on their own pursuing that kind of training. With his resources, there is no way in God's green earth that he could not pursue that. And it's not like he wasn't involved in battle. He was trying to run out on that horse in that first one up to everyone's annoyance, you know. I'm sorry, I cannot approve of that. There are so many ways with his immense resources. If he truly wanted to do this, he could. But he sat around and didn't until he got his magical plate mail. And then his dad now is like, okay, yeah, do it. You know, like I said earlier, I think that, you know, his dad was a bit more checked out on raising him before this, you know. So I do give that some leeway. But I think that with Renarin's mind, because he seems very smart, he could have been something useful. Instead, he was just a fucking rich, like, layabout, basically, with the excuse that he has this bad blood as his reasoning to not push himself to some other thing. It's not like being in the army is the only thing. It's not even the only way to fight. So no, I will not accept this until they give me some kind of reason besides, oh, he couldn't, you know,
It
because he
is
totally could
interesting.
have.
Yeah. It's just also because he's so old. If he was maybe like
Exactly.
15
Yep.
or something, you know, I would
Yeah.
forgive that. But he's like
Absolutely.
almost, he's 20 or something, you know?
Hmm.
And then my main thing is always these other soldier guys are training with shard plate. Like they borrow it from the king and from the
Hmm.
people, you know? So there was ways for him to train
Yeah,
if he
here's
really.
an even better example. A bunch of fucking bridge slaves were able to train in how to fight, and he hasn't. That's crazy. You know, he couldn't have just paid some guy to teach him how to swing a sword and fight, you know, like
Right.
anything,
Without
you
just
know?
the basics, maybe, you know?
And you can do the argument that, hey, he was brainwashed into believing that his fits meant he couldn't learn to fight. But if so, do something else. Do anything else. Stop trying to do this if you're not going to pursue it on your own at all. You know, it'd be so badass if he was like secretly training all this time because he was actually passionate. And that's the other thing. I'm sorry. I don't know why the Renarin thing drives
Another
me nuts.
rant. Oh my
If
gosh.
he's not passionate about fighting, you know, think about Kaladin. He had that passion from a young age. It was in him. He was going to want to learn no matter what, you know. Renarin doesn't seem to have that passion. What the hell is he doing trying to pursue a path that he doesn't have like intrinsic passion for? That's crazy to me because you're never going to be good enough if you don't have that passion. So there's learn the and learn the basics of fighting if your family's a fighting family. That doesn't mean you need it to be your official job. I'm gonna stop now. I think I could go on. I don't know why I have so much feelings
I'm
about
so,
this.
yeah.
I'm
I
so
understand.
heated about Renarin. I can't even define why, so I'll stop.
So they don't know much about him and his motives. We just get these annoying little bits about him, and we don't get an explanation.
Yeah, I think that's why. I think it's the lack of explanation. So I'm forced to fill in the blanks on my own. And what I
Yeah.
fill in is like, dude, why are you even doing this? You know, it's
Well,
just like any rich guy who's like, you know, wasting their. This is a world where we're watching the lowest of the low and the highest of the high, you know? Somebody like Adolin, Dalinar, they're doing a lot with what they were given in life, you know? Kaladin is doing a lot with nothing, with garbage. Renarin is just sitting there doing fuck all day, as far as I'm aware, unless they reveal something else that he's been doing all this time, which I think they will. I think he knows more than he's letting on, and that is encouraging him to push this further than he was maybe before the book started, you know, but until we learn that, I still have all this. So I give the guy a little benefit of the doubt, but not that much.
yeah. With your thing about that, everyone doing the most they can do and stuff.
Hmm.
That's one of the themes I think of the book I was saying before, like where when people follow their kind of fate or their destiny or dream, that that is the way it's meant to be.
Hmm.
So it's just interesting that Renarin is one of the characters that is not doing that,
Hmm.
or one of the only characters that's not.
Mhm.
So
And I think of my example that I've got. I really liked in One Piece when Usopp realizes I am not the strongest. I can never possibly be as strong as Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy. But I really want to help out, you know. Him and Nami both do this. So they're like, what I'm doing, it's not good enough. I need to up my game. So he uses his intelligence to get there, you know, by mastering using the slingshot, by mastering all these technologies. He focuses on what his talents are. He doesn't try to out Zoro. What's the point of that? You'll just get killed and be a liability to the rest of the crew. And that's what I feel about Renarin. He's a liability trying to pursue this. One of the most badass character archetypes are somebody who is weaker, but they're smarter and they use that smartness, you know? Dalinar and Adolin are not particularly smart. They need somebody smart around. Renarin could have been filling that role all this time, but he's not. And that drives me absolutely insane. Now, do not bring up the name Renarin for the rest of the podcast, or I might freak out again. Or the rest of the episode.
I'm so curious because we've got a lot of responses defending Renarin. So
I can see why he'd be really popular. His story is somewhat relatable. A lot of people, you know, don't really have what they want to do. They don't know where they want to go, and they discover it a bit later. But that's in our world where it's very different. And most of us aren't born into nobility. We're just shit out wherever, you know. So I could see why a lot of people, but I am so ready to laugh my ass off when I have to eat my words one day. I will laugh so hard at these
Well-
things I've said when it's like revealed, like, dude, not only were you totally wrong, but the clues were there the entire time. You just didn't see them. I think that's so funny.
All right. Now, from Words of Radiant. Oh, wait, no. Last little bit of Reader Warriors thing. The Final Empire didn't have a mystery bad guy. Because you two said every book had a mystery bad guy.
I didn't say that. Somebody asked us that once.
yeah,
You guys were talking. At one point, you were saying, all right, who has to be the mystery bad guy? And then you kept going with that later, and I told you there doesn't have to be one, and you two said
No,
there's
I
been
asked
one in
that because
every
somebody
book.
asked us that one time. I think it was a guest on one.
Yeah, but I kind of remember that. I might have said that.
But this was a follow-up to that. I brought that up, and then you literally said, there's been one in every book. But Final Empire did not have one. I think that's the only one that hasn't.
I thought that I don't want to give a spoiler away, but
For Final Empire?
yeah. In case someone has...
we spoiled so much shit. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
okay. I guess I don't really think about it. I feel like there was one.
I mean,
No.
we learned long term that there's forces at play, but the bad guy was the Lord Ruler, and they fight and beat him. He just says, "You fucked yourselves. There's something worse out there," but that's not in that book.
Yeah, I think Brandon, even he specifically made sure there wasn't one because he had the betrayal in Elantris. So then with Mistborn, he wanted to specifically have it where he has this group of people and there's no betrayal in the group.
Oh, okay.
All right. So now, Words of Radiance 29 through 34 from Koval Patro 28. Thank you for your unwavering, somewhat wacky journey through Cosmere. I like this week's question, if only because I can say that one of my favorite novels is sci-fi/fantasy is Children of Time. Amazing book, one of the best books I've ever read. Next will be Gathering Storm from Wheel of Time. Brandon Sanderson proving he can finish the series with care and tenderness it deserved. Joe, you are right. Shadow Rising is very good. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. The good days are done, kids, is memorable, and the twist in it, very good. The Song of Ice and Fire, Storm of Swords. He just packed so much into that book. Is a wonder how it all fits in just one. And more appreciation to sci-fi, Demon in White. Third book is in the Sun Eater series.
Ooh, I have to write someone down.
I've read the 2 ones of those that everyone's read. The rest of them I'm not familiar with.
When Sheta said that Sadeas and Shallan will duel, I expect her to say Sadeas will fall for Shallan because she's a warrior, or simply because he thinks Shallan is hot with Shardblade.
I mean, probably.
All right, next from Ald Chad. Sadeas. I might have to duel this younger, more fit guy. Let's see how good he is, and maybe if he has some weaknesses. Sheta. The sexual tension is palpable.
Yeah, that is correct.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
think I'm the only one.
I think you are.
Someone back me up.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
You just need to see the actors.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, but I can't hold this in any longer. Justin, Joe, I'm sorry. Sheta, you caused this. From what I can tell, you'll probably enjoy it. Ever since you started shipping Sadolin, I've had this mental image of Adolin saying, "Let me slip into something more comfortable," and then walks into the bedroom wearing full shard plate.
Oh God, no!
Yes.
What the fuck? Oh God!
I love it.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
You should be
To
sorry. Jesus Christ!
to everyone hearing this, congratulations. You have now been cursed with this knowledge.
Yeah, man. What the fuck?
Wait, Charlatan? What's next, Sheta? Yasna and Wit?
Ooh, I could see that. She did
No.
say there's only one
No.
man who I ever thought
Get
was worth
out.
anything.
Get out. Get out now. You're fired.
The
Sheta.
the feeling when Justin asks who's Goradel, but not how's Goradel. Dead, by the way, if you bothered to ask.
I knew who that was from the context this time.
And then from Reader Warrior, I highly recommend the Pendragon series by DJ McHale. Each book is kind of its own genre, but there's a serialized story through all of them. The first is medieval, then there's a historical one, and a few dystopians too.
Ooh, I like dystopian.
Yeah, I've been wanting to read that one.
Chapter 29. You think that if Sadia sees how epic Kaladin is in battle, he'll be chill and not an eye-racist piece of creme like always?
I don't know. He values power and competence, so I don't know, maybe.
I think that his belief system comes from the eye thing, you know. I think that if he was going to change those beliefs, he would have to come to terms with a lot of the decisions he's made on how to treat other people. And so I think that he would not like it. Or he'd reason that that man's power is for me to use. That's why it's on this world.
Chapter 31. The first canon appearance of Naj. And then from one of your quotes, how many other stories are happening right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
All right. Chapter 34. The Scadrians didn't choose preservation and ruin to be their gods, but they still were. What makes you think the listeners picked theirs?
I thought they said they did. I thought they said they chose to turn to their gods. I must be remembering wrong if they did not say that.
They chose to turn away from their gods.
Ah. Well, here's the difference. In Scadrial, they didn't worship ruin and preservation. Those were just the gods of that world. That's a huge difference. That's what I'd say. Like, it didn't seem like, yeah, no, they didn't, because everyone thought the god ruler was God. So they did not choose that. The god ruler would have been a better example because nobody chose that one for sure. And he just controlled everybody. Or the Lord ruler, I mean.
And then from the theory segment, the way Justin had to pause when saying Yasna's death, like he wasn't ready to accept it.
It's not true. It didn't happen. And that scene from Mars Attacks where the dad's changing the channel. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
A woman in a duel? That's like saying men can read. Heresy.
That's true. Disgusting. How dare
Well-
a man read?
And then from the character of the week, nobody likes Sadius the way you do, Sheta.
That is factually true.
I think Brandon likes him.
No, I don't think Brandon likes him specifically.
Just bringing
Not
him
more
back.
than all his other characters.
And then from the responses segment, the 11th medal was also a hint that the Alamantic chart wasn't complete.
That's true.
Yep, so that's all our all our comments and stuff for this week. So looking forward to next week. We're only doing 3 chapters. 44, 45, 46.
Oh, nice and short, huh?
Sure. Yep. So that's it for next week, everyone. Like I said, 3 chapters. So go ahead, read those. And then afterwards, everyone write a novella and email it to us.
And email it to us. I will not be reading these novellas, just to let you know.
I'm curious.
I'm not going to read 5 novellas by somebody that likes to throw out
If you
movies.
write it, we'll read that instead of the book.
You're
Well,
opening a dangerous precedent there.
We will only read novellas that get released within the 1 week span. If it gets released
Oh.
after that, it automatically gets deleted.
Better start working on it.
Yep, you have a week, and you need to show proof that you didn't start it till you listen to this podcast.
Well, no, also need to show proof you didn't just have an AI write it, because that would be cheating. That would be much easier.
Oh yeah, you're right. AI exists. Never
Mhm.
mind. No novellas.
We don't
I
want
trust you
20
people.
AI novellas sent to us as a joke.
I don't trust people. So instead, just go do some push-ups or something. I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. That's it, everyone. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Catch y'all on the flip side.
Bye.